Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. I'm your host, Mari Forth, and with me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, the Bam Bam Bigelow to my Luna Vachon, Mr. Matt Scott. Matt, how you doing?
Wow. I'm good. I wasn't ready to be Bam Bam Bigelow. I consider myself more of a Luna Vachon kind of guy. I feel like you're more of the Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, rest in peace to Luna Vachon and Bam Bam Bigelow. There's
Yeah.
a really good Dark Side of the Ring on her this week. But I love a good manager. I love a good manager.
I
So
love Luna Vachon though,
yes.
actually. And
Okay.
Luna's one of these people who, like, growing up in the North Jersey wrestling scene in the mid to early 2000s, Luna was around
Wow.
after her WWE run in the late 90s. And so it was cool to like see her and become a fan of her then. So
That's awesome.
rest in peace, Luna. Wonderful performer. Totally underrated.
Way before her time.
And same with Bam Bam Bigelow. So
Mhm.
kudos to you, Mari, for honoring the wrestling history.
Thank you. I
Look
try.
at that. You're
Yeah, look at
you
that.
have so
Look at
much
us.
respect
Look at
and
us.
reverence and honor. Look at you. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna spend this episode complimenting you.
Please don't, because I'm just get so weird.
You'll start wearing sunglasses on the podcast. Like, Mari, it's a podcast. Most people are not watching on YouTube.
Is
You
that
don't
what the
need to wear the
numbers say?
sunglasses. That's exactly what they say. We have thousands of people who listen,
Thousands.
and you know,
To the
are
thousands and
to the
thousands.
thousands and the tens of thousands, even some weeks, depending on who's on. You never know.
Finally. Yeah.
We don't know.
So, how's your week been? Anything interesting? Cool?
Interesting.
I mean, what's been up? I mean,
Look,
it's autumn.
it is autumn. It is okay. Well,
Mhm.
okay, look, let me tell you the one thing that's maybe not the most interesting this week, but it is I'm heating up if I pass
Oh,
out
right.
during this podcast. I'm shooting on my apartment building right now. Well, not okay. If you don't know if you don't know, I'm not oh, this is going to get very complicated for non-wrestling fans. But
It's
I
fine.
am doing a shoot on my apartment building because they turned off the air and it's still really hot. It was 80 degrees yesterday.
It
I
was,
need
yeah.
air. I need air. I don't need heat. I don't want heat. This is
Yeah.
all get very confusing for wrestling fans with like the terms like heat, shoot.
It's fine. It's
I,
fine. It's
is
okay.
it
The
fine? The heat's
moral of
going
the
to my
story
head.
is you don't like the apartment building
The
and
heat's
you may
going to
pass
my
out
head.
at some point.
If I
So,
pass out, then
keep
Mari will
going.
finish the
Yeah.
podcast with our guest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was. It was like very warm where we are yesterday. I went out to like lunch. It was nice. Had a little skirt on. It was fun. It's been a good week.
Ooh.
I was able to get on the challenge podcast and
They let
this
you
week
on?
they did.
Wow.
They did. They
Look
let
at
me
that.
like guest co-host. Yeah, it was awesome. But we're here to talk about wrestling. You don't want to hear about us, right?
I mean, let us know if you want to hear about us, and we
Yeah.
will dedicate more time to that. And then this podcast will become a four and a
Right.
half hour podcast, which, like, it's fine. We're here for you. We're just here
That's
to give you, the people, what you want. We're people's
yeah, which is
people. We're
more
people's
content.
champions. That's us.
Yeah, so but we gotta start with a little bit of the news this week, which
We
was
love
very
it.
interesting.
Hmm.
WWE canceled the TLC pay-per-view, that the pay-per-view that normally takes place in December. I think it was scheduled for like mid-December this year, like December 15th or 16th or something like that. But they decided to cancel it, I think because they have like a run of Christmas shows and then they have a very special like a New Year's Day style show. So they canceled TLC, which honestly I kind of like. I don't mind that because
Hmm.
TLC always being at the end of the year when it's normally that season where you want to gear up to Royal Rumble, but TLC is basically like a feud ending style pay-per-view because it's supposed to be either a chairs match or a tables match or a ladder match, and you want to build the feud to that blow off. It doesn't make sense to do that right before the road to WrestleMania starts. So And it's a theme pay-per-view that just always seems forced and ham-fisted. So
Hmm.
I'm not too mad about that. What do you think, Matt?
I won't miss her. And I'll also just say that, like, if we would only, I would assume that if it did happen, we would get at most 2 TLC matches, maybe even
Right.
1. What's the
Hmm.
point? We don't,
Exactly.
it's fine. Well, we'll see you later, TLC, or not. I'd prefer Tender Love and Care over tables, ladders, and chairs at this point. So let's
Yeah.
go with that.
And
Let's
at
let's
this
just
point,
love each other. It'll be the holiday season. We don't
you
need
can
chairs.
you can do a TLC match anytime. And the
You could
fact
do it
that
on Christmas Eve with your family if you want.
okay, okay, Matt. Like I don't. I just my point is though, like why wait to the end of the year to build
Yeah,
these feuds, and then they don't even build them right, and then it's just
exactly.
annoying. Like
Yeah.
we could see the Usos or the Street Profits or something like that with the New Day in a TLC match during the year, and I feel like it would feel way more special than if you just like squeeze it in at the very end.
I completely agree. I think the pay-per-views where they force a theme, they could work really well, but they don't work well unless WWE times it right where they have like a feud that fits the theme. So if they're
Exactly.
building up to tables, ladders, and chairs, and then you have like last year, I don't even think that I don't even remember how they approached this, but there was the thing between Lana and Nia Jax where Nia Jax kept putting Lana through the table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they did. No, they didn't even end up
No,
doing a match at TLC because Lana was like injured or out
injured.
or something.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was
Exactly.
horrible. Like that, but that's like one of the things where they fumble the bag, and like
Mm-hmm.
some that should have been blown off there as opposed to later on. So things happen. I get it, but um, yeah, we won't miss it, will we? Just like we wouldn't
Yeah.
miss Extreme Rules if they got rid of that because they
Oh my
didn't
gosh.
really use the
Again,
theme.
how did we get more extreme stuff like 2 or 3 weeks after Extreme Rules than we did on Extreme Rules?
They're
Like
trolling.
it
They're
doesn't make
trolling.
sense at this
They're
point. Extreme
trolling.
Rules was literally just the name of the pay-per-view itself. Like there was like no Extreme
They
Rules.
are trolling us.
Uh anyways.
What are you gonna do? It
Mm-hmm.
happens. Rough
Mm-hmm.
life.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, next up we have a little bit more news
Yeah.
from WWE.
Yeah, so I one piece of news that I saw on Instagram the other day, which I thought was really cool, was from one of the WWE referees, and it's funny because I feel like as I was growing up, when I first met and saw this referee in action, he was going by Matt Bennett, but he goes by Sean. Others just call him Bennett, but referee Bennett with WWE actually just this past Sunday on National Coming Out Day posted that he's gay and came out more publicly with his sexuality. And I think the thing that's really cool, and by the way, if you're looking at the YouTube version, you could see
Yes.
that we have the Instagram post from him pulled up. One thing he mentions is that he started refereeing at the age of 14 years old and was
Wow.
always really like kind of secretive about his sexuality. And one thing that he said is that he spent his first 10 years in pro wrestling like terrified of his sexuality, which I'm sure people in wrestling and outside of wrestling could relate to. Like I even know
Mm-hmm.
as a bisexual wrestling fan that like there was so much homophobia, especially around that time
Mm-hmm.
in the wrestling business, let alone the New Jersey wrestling scene. And it's cool that he feels like he's able to like live in his truth. And just to kind of share some of the final thoughts that Ref Bennett shared here. Representation is important. Always face your fears. Always chase your dreams. Above all, always be yourself. It's worth it. And then the outpouring of love. Again, if you just scroll into the hundreds and
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of comments like Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, so many people posted love and support in support of Ref Bennett and him just living in his truth. So want to shout that out because it does show a massive like change in the wrestling business for like who is accepted, who is welcome,
Mm-hmm.
and it's cool that we're seeing like more people who are coming out. I think earlier this year during some kind of pride related thing in June, like Toni Storm, who's on the main
Yeah.
roster.
Oh,
We
yep.
saw in the match in the last week with the Queen's Crown tournament, like came out as bisexual, I think, right? And so
Yeah, she
it's
did.
cool that we're getting people who are more comfortable with that. But I just want to shout out Matt/Sean Bennett because, you know, that sucks that he had to kind of feel like he wasn't able to live in his truth, and the fact that he is pretty awesome. So who knows if he'll
Yeah.
ever hear this, but we are proud of you and support you and happy for you.
Exactly. And that's just such like really good news to really start off
Yeah.
with, because it's just going to show you like exactly how you said the landscape is shifting. And hopefully one day it'll be to the point where we don't even have to do all this, and it'll just be natural, and everybody's like, so what, who cares, like, you know what I'm saying, like in a
Yeah.
good sense, like not in a
Yeah.
I don't mean to talk down on that, but you know what I'm saying.
Or even like in the sense of like, ooh, let's get more people who are not like the people we
Yes,
already have, like just more
exactly.
broadly beyond the LGBTQ plus community, right? And so
Exactly.
it's cool. Wrestling train. We did also get some like good kind of like, this won't be the last time that I mention queer people on this podcast today, but
Yeah.
this is like one of the things that I do really like about WWE is we're getting a little bit more, a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how that.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. There's so many people in the business that it just doesn't, like, not even a shock anymore. So yeah.
Nope.
So also let's go into our promotions, of course. If you
Oh,
have any questions, you can always send them email to wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com. Send us your long form questions and we'll read them on the show. You can
yeah, and
also
I'll also
Mhm.
just say, let me stress. I want
Uh-oh.
to like stop down and stress this.
Jesus.
The way that see, do you hear our voices right now? We're talking about things. We could be talking about the things that you want us to talk about.
There you
So if you
go.
email us, we'll talk about what you tell us to talk about. We're basically just like, we're yours, people. Like
Okay.
you're in
Well.
charge. So email us at wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com and we'll just do whatever you ask and tell us to do.
There
That's
you go.
basically it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Don't
That's the
don't
gist of
ask for
it.
nothing crazy, because I don't know about all
I
that,
mean, you could
but
ask.
yes.
We'll just ignore it. Oh, it went to spam.
But you can also follow us at Wrestling RHAPup on Twitter, and join the conversation using hashtag Wrestling RHAPup.
Mhm.
Tag us, tell us your thoughts. We'd love to get back to you on Twitter.
We
Uh,
would.
yes. We also have a Facebook group. Well, unofficial,
Somebody has
official.
a Facebook group,
Exactly.
but you could
Job.
be in it.
Exactly. Job has a squadcast is the unofficial official Facebook group for RHAP patrons, or RHAP followers who love to talk wrestling with us. So reach out to us and we'll get you in there.
Yeah,
Please.
and
Mhm.
also say big shout out to somebody who Kristen. It's
Somebody.
Kristen. Big shout out to Kristen. Kristen, who's one of our listeners who actually messaged after our last episode and said, I
Oh,
want to
really?
join the group. And so Kristen is now part of the Job Has a Squadcast Facebook group. Feel free to
Yay.
like tweet us or DM us too if you want to be part of it. And we could work to hook you up with that. But just wanted to shout out Kristen for being a listener and joining the conversation. Back to you,
Yeah,
Mari, in the
Kristen.
studio.
Please subscribe to our podcast feed, Wrestling RHAPup. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. Soon we will have a link to our we'll let you know what the link is. You follow that link and you can subscribe on any of the wrestling podcast platforms. So stay tuned for that.
Stay
Um,
tuned.
so you can also, hopefully you're looking at our very beautiful faces here on YouTube at Rob Has a Podcast on YouTube. If you aren't, stop what you're doing and go over there. No, I'm just playing. Keep
I mean,
listening.
you can. I mean, our faces don't look that good. Well, but we will have pictures pulled up beyond our beautiful faces.
Talk for yourself.
I mean, I just want to lower expectations, especially people. Can you imagine if people have like never seen our
never
faces
seen
and
us?
they're listening? You know, there's
That's
something
so funny.
magical about that. Just like
That's true.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put out a special request. If you're not
Don't.
watching us on YouTube, could you please draw a picture of what you think each of
Oh
us
my
look
God, that's
like,
so
and
hilarious.
then DM it to us, because it might I don't
That
think you
is
should
so
tweet it
funny.
because that might be offensive, but DM it to us for our amusement. Or email us at wrestling@rhapasawebsite.com with what you think each of us look like.
That is so funny.
Draw it, though. We might
And
share it on the podcast.
And also, we want to give a special shout out to the Challenge RHAPup this week. Not just
Ooh.
because I was on it, I was just on it this week, but
yeah.
just go check it out. The Challenge RHAPup, they're covering the 37th season of MTV's The Challenge. It's called Spies, Lies, and Allies. It drops every Friday on the reality TV RHAPup feed. It is hosted by Brian Cohen and Ali Lasher. And they are just hilarious people. I love listening to them. Been listening to them for years when it comes to the challenge. And the challenge is everything you love about Big Brother and Survivor, with all the drama dialed up to 10. And we're in episode 10, which means it's just starting to get good. Like, if you have never watched the challenge, it's always like almost 30 episodes. But it's still fun and enjoy. What?
Yeah, I watched only like the premiere episode of this season. It was wild. And like if I had access to the challenge, like through a way that wasn't stealing the show illegally, I would watch it more regularly. But it's funny because like the Challenge All Stars is also coming up soon in literally just like 3 weeks or so. I think it's around November 10th. I don't know the exact date. But anyway, I love that. I'm so pumped. There's a lot of wrestling fan crossover between the Challenge and wrestling because we have the Miz, Miz Annan, the one and only castmate of Coral from The Real World New York. And you know, I have to just say, I watched you could watch the Wrestling RHAPup, but first watch the Challenge RHAPup. Just leave us alone and go listen to the Challenge RHAPup and subscribe. I don't know what I'm getting carried away. I just love Brian and Ali so much.
Listen to us first and then go listen to them. Yeah. And the good thing is, if you're new to the show, Brian and Ali will fill you in on everything you need to know, so you can just jump right in. They always say, come for the recap of the show, stay for the chaos, the games, and social media messiness. So please go check out the Challenge RHAPup. It's great content if you're not already following that. Okay, that's it. That's it for the plugs.
Oh no, that means it's Mari.
Yes.
I'm too pumped up. I'm excited for what we're about to do.
Okay.
We have a guest. We have a
yes, we do.
We have a guest.
We do. We have a guest. A great guest, and you're about to announce them.
Oh my God! Wait, I didn't know we had a guest, but I'm having an intervention. Let's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, making her way to the podcast, hailing from the city of bridges, the black and gold, the steel city, the dirty burg, the city of champions, allegedly, the Iron City, the River City, the Paris of the Appalachia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She's a pity lover, a podcaster, from interning with the Spice Hour and News AF to covering Orange is the New Black, American Ninja Warrior, Big Brother, The Circle, and all things RHAP. Please welcome Lita Brillman. Lita Brillman, welcome to the podcast.
Gosh, thank you. That was the best intro I've ever had. I was going to introduce myself as the Pittsburgh Punisher, but you really got all of the nicknames for the city, and somebody has done their research. That was when there was like the wrestling simulation of all of the RHAP podcasters. I believe Akiva nicknamed me the Pittsburgh Punisher.
Nice.
Do you mean the
Battle Royal?
The Royal Rumble, the RHAP Royal Rumble, I think.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm still waiting. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm trying to like get my ticket for the next Royal Rumble. Ideally to watch the next RHAP Royal Rumble as one of the simulated people in the crowd, but like Mari and I are here for the win if that happens again, Lita. So we're just saying, watch out. We might be in there next time with you.
If I recall correctly, I was taken out by my own co-host / best friend, so I don't think I will be making a return. I'm too hurt.
Gosh.
Taryn and I haven't spoken since.
Okay, well, we'll avenge you and we'll take Taryn out.
And there are no friends in a battle royal, unfortunately, Lita.
It's actually kind
the harsh
of
truth. Yeah.
Literally.
Oh my gosh.
Mari, I feel like that was foreshadowing for you taking me out.
Never say never, Matt.
I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see. It might happen. One day, hopefully, it does happen.
Lita, we are so happy to have you here. Oh my gosh, I'm excited, and I will tell this story till the day I put down a microphone. Lita is literally the reason why I'm here. Yes, she was the one who was saying like we need more diverse voices, reach out. And I specifically remember DMing her and saying like, hey, I would really love to be a part of RHAP. And it was right before Rob put out the application for class of 2020, and she was like, yeah, go fill that out and do it. And I was like, yes, I'm doing it, and it is because of her I am here. I say it every time I'm on a show with her. So thank you for coming.
Wow.
Thank you for being the catalyst for all of this for me.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm happy that you're on the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is kind of wild to think there would be no Wrestling RHAPup without you, Lita. And
yeah, there we go.
Just think about that.
Little domino effect. I'm the positive COVID test that led to Claire and DX dating.
Yes, that
and
killed
we're
me.
so thankful for that.
Yes. Exactly. So of course it was a pleasure to just get you on here talking wrestling. Tell the people a little bit about if you know anything about wrestling, what's your introduction, even if it's just us.
Yeah, so this is definitely the most wrestling I've ever watched in a week. Here's what I knew about wrestling. Jenna Maraska got her ass kicked one time.
Yes.
I have seen that clip.
No.
Nikki Bella was on Dancing with the Stars, so I know a bit about her, and I know much about her relationship with John Cena, who's also a wrestling person, because they were a big tabloid thing. I'm big on celebrity gossip. So I know about them. I know about Hulk and Brooke Hogan from other reality TV. And honestly, that might be. Oh, you mentioned The Miz, because I did get to watch the challenge. So I think that might be about it. I had my ex was big into not big into wrestling, but he would watch it. And if he had told me that it was mostly comedy sketches, I would have been so all about it. I would say that for the men it was a lot of comedy sketches, and then for the women it was more like poorly performed drama sketches.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is mostly like kind of improv games. I would have been a lot more into it if I had known it was like SCTV meets drag.
Yeah,
so you would have been like, if the first clip you saw was like someone like, I don't know, like Bianca Belair, like give me a word, or give us a theme, something to work with, and then and
the word is always punch.
Punch. Okay. Let's
let's act this out.
Yeah, I need a location. Yeah, and the location is always a conference room because there's office chairs on the stage.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Contract negotiations.
Yes.
I like to critique people's acting. I come from a performance background. So I definitely have favorite and least favorite performers. So that was very fun to watch. I was shocked by how little actual wrestling I watched this week, and thrilled about it.
Yeah. Because we try, and I can't wait to hear your acting tips for some of these people.
I want the full acting. We need it. This podcast.
the biggest thing is, you know, we try not to make our guests watch too much if they're not, you know, into it, because even I don't like to sit through 3 hours of Raw. I am very candid about this. I have a whole wrestling podcast, and it is hard for me to just sit through 3 hours of wrestling. So we love to send. We always send clips that give you the bones of the storyline. A little bit of wrestling sprinkled in there. There were a few matches that, you know, of course I watched the full product that, oh my gosh, I wish I could have sent you the full match on, because we had some really, really good wrestling this week, particularly by the women. But I can't wait to just dive in. If we don't have, you have any questions for Lita, Matt, before we jump into the highlights?
Questions? I only have a thought for Lita, which is that
please.
there are, you did point out the office supplies, the office chairs. There are, there's a weird amount of office supplies in pro wrestling. And like, I don't know why. I don't know what, like, where they get these office chairs, these contract. I don't know where they get the printers to do the contracts. They have so many contracts. Like lots of pens. Too.
Do we think that there's like an Office Max sponsorship?
I'm just gonna go with Staples, Office Max. If they want, and you know what? Whoever doesn't sponsor WWE could sponsor this podcast. I like pens. I have multiple pens with me. Right, I have 2 pens. Wait.
I can never find a pin
right here, right now.
Did you just notice that every time somebody kind of like does the finishing move, they say that was easy?
Yeah,
slipped in there.
Oh my god! I almost missed it too.
Product
like,
placement, right there.
You learned something new about right. That was easy. Oh my god! Those. Oh. I can't. Don't bring me back to that button.
I was gonna say, is that showing my age? I don't think they do that anymore.
They probably not do.
Oh my god!
I don't know who has seen a commercial in 15 years. Who knows?
There it is. That's the real question. Because again, I can't. I don't. If
it's not one of the ones that's on Hulu 18 times every time you watch a show, I have not seen a commercial.
Oh my!
But also,
gosh,
like, what was easy? What was easy?
You just press the button.
It was all a lie. Nothing was easy, and they just wanted us to. It was like rose. That was easy button was like rose tinted glasses. Like it's not right.
What kind of horrible experiences have you had at Staples?
I'm just saying, life was not easy, and it told me it would be easy, and it. You know
feel
what?
Lied to.
I don't know if it was speaking for life. I feel like it was about like buying graph paper.
Oh.
Yeah. So Matt, you just took it. You took it too far. You thought it applied to the whole entirety of life.
I did. I was gullible. I assumed that I knew what they were talking about. But...
I mean, I'm in my first semester of graduate school right now, and I tried to go school supplies shopping. But literally I went to Target and there was nothing. The undergrads had ransacked it. It was like the purge, but for lined paper. So maybe I should have gone to Staples, and maybe that would have been easier. But
yeah,
anyway, I just needed a 3-subject notebook, and these children.
they got.
Are you? How do your academic studies relate to pro wrestling, if at all?
I would say they relate very closely because I also am much more style over substance. I'm sort of like, if I use like a really pretty font on my paper, like print it on pink paper, maybe scent it like Elle Woods.
Oh, of course, Elle Woods.
I'm constantly showing up in sort of glittery thigh-high boots and just sort of a bikini. And that distracts the eye of my statistics professor from thinking that maybe.
Oh my god, I hate statistics. I had to take statistics like at least 4 times. I'm like, there shouldn't be this many level of statistics.
No, same.
It's all the same.
It's rough.
Undergrad, grad. Yeah.
That's so studious of you.
To take my recorded classes?
No, the thigh high boots and the bikini with the spiral notebook.
Yeah, but then I also wear glasses.
Wait,
so then they're like, wow, she's a genius.
Has Pittsburgh Punisher.
Has there been a wrestler whose thing is like, I'm smart? Has that been a character?
Yeah, a lot of them.
A few.
But no. But
like,
you could
be cutting 2 segments ahead. Like you're just giving us all
You're giving
ideas
everything
for
that everybody
creating your
wants.
RHAP slur.
No, I'm just like, let's
At
just
this
get
point,
it out.
just let her create her own
Honestly,
RHAP.
that's what it's already been created. The Pittsburgh Punisher, with the thigh-high boots,
the
bikini, but also the notebooks and
I'm
glasses.
holding a notebook at all times and just sort of slapping people across the face.
Oh my
with
gosh!
it.
Somebody draw this, please.
Mari, speaking of Pittsburgh Punisher, I do have a big reveal for you.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Not only am I a Steelers fan, I have a Steelers tattoo.
Oh my gosh! Okay, cancel the podcast.
Wait.
Cancel the podcast.
Never mind. I mean,
recording over.
Do you have? Is that all? Are you just gonna drop that in?
Oh, I think you'll be able to see it. I actually don't know which side of my face it's on. Yeah, it's on this side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So, oh my god, yeah, that's
dedication.
It. Yeah, if you are watching the YouTube, you just got to see. If you're not watching, then you don't know
it's on
where
my
Lita
ass.
has a tattoo. Exactly.
So now you have to go watch.
And that's on YouTube now.
Yes,
we're definitely getting demonetized.
That's how you drive the traffic.
Yeah, because I was 18. It was an impulse, and I thought. People don't know from looking at me that I'm trash, so I need to like just do something that makes it like really easy. My Tinder bio when I was single for a long time was I'm the only person in the world with both a women's studies degree and an NFL tattoo.
Nice.
Oh my god!
I think
love that
Venn diagram.
But the funny thing is, like, you're probably not. Like, there might be like 2 others, and I would like for us to meet them.
You're like just 2.
I would love.
Let's find them right now.
To meet the people who are like, I'm a feminist, but I'm going to brand myself for life with like one of the least ethical organizations.
Yeah, but if you own the team one day, then what's wrong with that? You know, that's the goal.
It's very feminist to own an NFL team.
I mean, it'll be like you'll put women on the team.
Okay.
This is this a wrestling podcast?
Yeah,
or a
feminism
tattoo podcast
is wanting women to get lifelong brain trauma too.
Yeah,
that's actually what feminism is.
Yeah, that's exactly the opportunity to get lifelong brain trauma. I agree. I'm with you.
Well,
I think that's an option.
I am a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan. Maybe not that diehard, mostly because I am afraid of getting tattoos, because I am a hypochondriac. But it is okay. It is okay. We are still friends. I still love you, Lita. It is okay.
By the way, I just have to say again, shouting out people to watch the YouTube version. Mari's hand gestures like a second ago, which will probably be at the 30 to 15 second mark. Those were really good hand gestures, Mari.
Were they? They were good.
People should watch the YouTube just to see that.
You should. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And our beautiful, gorgeous faces.
Appropriating Italian culture.
Oh my gosh, Lita. I really wish I could have sent you some clips about we might have to do some in podcast editing so I can send you a clips of Tony D'Angelo and ask you, is this okay? Because
I was
character
gonna
is very
say
Italian.
I was surprised by the lack of broad racial stereotypes. I was expecting much more of that.
Yeah,
based
I mean,
on kind of what I've heard about wrestling.
Yeah,
they've kind of moved a little bit past that.
There's still some.
Well, no, it's like an innuendo. It feels like more innuendo than anything.
Yes, we talked about it last week. It's very much a line. Yeah. It's very much a line, and they're like
tippy toes on that line, you know, like
I would say it's not super overt. However, a man kidnapping a woman in a black SUV and then speaking in Spanish.
Okay, I see that. I see that.
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
I actually don't see SUVs.
I didn't see I didn't see anything. I don't see anything. I just
why'd the SUV have to be black?
It was it black? What was it black?
Gotta be black.
I don't see color actually. So that's interesting. But is this a Russ?
So
Are we
funny.
ready to get into the wrestling?
We are.
Mari.
We are. We're ready.
Okay. I'm
We're
like,
ready.
either
I'm
we're
so
in
sorry.
it
I am
or we're not.
dying
By
right
the way,
now.
I'm on Tony D'Angelo. Why?
Yeah, I am.
You know
too.
what? I have to
I
pull
am
this
too.
up since we mentioned it for like a. What is?
Yes, Tony D'Angelo. He is, and then
Could you
see
describe
Lita,
this picture?
You see his captions. Tony D'Angelo is sitting in a jacuzzi, is a hot tub with a cigar in
jacuzzi.
his mouth. Yes, exactly. And then you see his caption here, Lita. It says, "Only one way to celebrate, my friends." And he has the hands. He has the hands. Look at that.
I'm a little worried where this is going.
This
D'Angelo
is
is
less
the man.
Italian. This is like more crab claw.
Yeah, this
photo.
is Big Boss. He's showing it
Oof.
off here.
In
He's
a hot
looking
tub.
really good here.
Where did you get this tub?
This is certainly in Florida.
Should I click to the next? I don't
Yes,
know if
it
this
is
is
in
going to
Florida,
be safe
Lita.
for
That's
YouTube.
great.
That screened
Oh.
in pool is like so Florida.
Yes, this is definitely
This
Florida
is
because
true.
NXT is based in Florida. So good catch there.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
gosh.
Okay. All right. We gotta go.
Yeah,
okay.
we did it. We did that. Yeah, just got that out of the way.
So just like every week, we go over the highlights of this week in wrestling. This week we will be basically just previewing the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Like, it's really hard. Me and Matt talk about how we want to avoid this pay-per-view like the plague, but WWE is making it quite impossible.
No, we're avoiding it, kind of.
I mean, talk. It's
not
a big deal.
Talking about it.
We're
talking
talking about
around it.
Okay, there you go. So we'll do a preview of the Crown Jewel card, and then we will talk about, of course, the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, and then a little bit of some storylines from the week. But
okay,
honestly,
so I have to correct myself. We are talking about it.
Yes.
It's questionable. So backstory quickly. Everyone's heard it a million times. WWE a few years ago signed a deal with like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to host like a handful of shows and get paid a ton of money to do it. And it's a super problematic
relationship.
I was gonna say organization. I don't know. I was gonna refer to the quote unquote kingdom as an organization, but it's super problematic. And I think there's a lot of stuff that could even come up as we talk about how the show is shaping up, about like why certain performers are not on the show. And I love that could be a conversation. So we'll get into it.
Yes, Lita.
I have a comment on that, which is just this happened too with they were having the soccer World Cup or something in Kuwait. And there were issues around that, specifically that like the labor costs and conditions for the people that were building the stadium were horrible, things like that. But my honest, like, a concern that I have about these countries hosting these things is that if you can't drink alcohol at these things, what is the point?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like what we have seen in the past. And I will say it is interesting to see the crowds that like aren't or haven't been used to watching wrestling. A few weeks ago, Mari, I think you brought up I think it's Collision in Korea.
Yes, I did.
That's in part of Dark Side of the Ring, a series that you could like rewatch on Hulu and all of that. But like this idea of people who are not like fully used to like, the wrestling experience being there. I think they're probably more used to it now, but during one of the first shows, at least, like there were people getting up, walking around, like just not paying attention fully. So it happens.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Yeah. The good thing, I don't know, but it is been shown that the Saudi Arabia fans, they do have a lot of WWE fans there. So I mean, it doesn't feel as like, from what I saw the Dark Side of the Ring with the Collision with Korea, like it looked like nobody cared that they were even really there. So like for the people of Saudi Arabia, it's a great opportunity for them to see their favorites and be able to connect with wrestling and do something a little bit different. But it just really does feel very icky and problematic, especially since their very first event there came literally weeks after the death of the journalist Jamal
Jamal
Khashoggi.
Yeah.
So it was just it's just kind of been tainted for a lot of viewers' minds since then. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to wrap your mind around like trying to support your favorite wrestlers and what is honestly shaping up to be a very good card, but then for it to, you know, be placed in somewhere that is just like it just doesn't feel good to the soul in a sense because yeah. And then not to mention at their last Saudi show, they had a problem getting back home. Some
That
of
was
the
the last
talent,
one.
yes, yeah, that was the last one. Some of the
Damn.
talent were kind of like it's kind of conflicting reports, you know.
But at
But
the worst, it's like
yeah.
people have used the phrase that they were like being held hostage.
Mhm.
At best, they were just working through some customs issues and the plane took
Yes.
like a while to take off.
Yeah.
So it's conflicting, but it seemed like a sketchy situation. We're not involved with it. Don't give us
No.
comments. Don't come after us.
Please, we don't.
Yeah, just leave us alone.
This
We're
is not a
just
political podcast.
no, we're not. We don't have any power. We don't just leave us alone.
And my
But
thought
everything we're
process
saying is
my
right,
thought
and it's super
process
problematic.
for the whole thing is like it's a pay-per-view. You can either watch it or you don't have to. Like
That is
honestly,
true.
you can watch it as it's streaming on Peacock. You can find it. I'm pretty sure the clips will be posted just the next day. Like whatever you want to do. We're here to talk about the card and not about all of the stuff behind it. So, with all
Thank
that,
God we didn't talk about any of
it.
the stuff behind it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
right?
Like just as a spot. Yeah, no, we'll get into more of it, but it is really interesting just to kind of set up what we talk about. We're gonna go into talking about some other stuff on the card. But I think that even with like just the way that they approached the King of the Ring and some of the booking decisions that they made with who won, and even the Queen of the Ring, like there's no way that you can't avoid bringing up the fact that certain people just are not like
allowed
to perform there, which I think is a great conversation to have rather than
I
like
agree.
the thing where they don't. So we'll get into it. This is wrestling. That's wrestling for you.
That's wrestling. No, so we're of course going to start with we have to start with this because I mean, talk about just some really good character work and wrestling from the past like week and a half, 2 weeks. We're going to talk about the Smackdowns Women Championship match that will take place at Crown Jewel. It's between Becky Lynch, who is currently the Smackdown Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, and Sasha Banks. And I mean, the build up to this feud has been so good, but it's also been semi-confusing with the draft. But just really, really good. So we start off with the contract signing from last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about SmackDown from last week because we recorded early, but we get a contract signing with Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch, and with the contract signing, but Bianca's the only one in the ring. Sasha's near the announce desk. Becky has her own table at the top of the ramp.
I love this, by the way,
it was
because
very good.
Just to like set up how the show started, and I think that like the clip on YouTube doesn't even fully do it justice.
It doesn't,
because the show just kind of like cold opens to Becky sitting on the ramp at a little nice table, probably in an office chair, because WWE has a million of those lying around. And then Bianca's in the ring alone, where there's like a table for the contract signing, or she's in the ring with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville for the contract signing. And then Sasha Banks has to just stand on the announce table in her disco ball leotard. Like, how long was she standing there for before the show started? I feel bad for her.
Yeah, she was the only person who didn't like get a chair, even though Bianca was like standing though.
Even though they have nothing but chairs.
Yeah,
there's so many.
Yeah. But then again, like, who wants a chair? Bianca was tossing her chair out of.
I liked this because the chair was obviously heavier than she thought it was going to be. You see like a little. before she
No,
throws it.
you all maybe, yeah.
which is
it
really
just looked like a
funny.
very light chair.
Because we after she kind of has trouble tossing that chair, we legit see her like basically bench press 2 women. So
She didn't. She
It might
didn't
have
lift
just
with her
been-
knees.
Yeah, it might have been that
Yeah.
the chair was unwieldy or something, but it
Yes,
looked like a little
yes.
bit of a struggle.
This
Yes,
is like a 400-pound chair, maybe. Or I like.
I
One of
think
her
one of the
enemies
wheels got
swapped it
caught or
out.
something. Yeah.
For a heavy chair.
Yeah, so it was just such a great start to like the week, because we then got to Raw, where each woman got their own promo time in different parts of the arena. Of course, they added Charlotte, because right now Charlotte is the Raw Women's Champion and she has no storyline going into Crown Jewel. But the kind of weird thing with the draft here is Charlotte calls out all 3 of them, says she's really the opportunity, she's really the most decorated athlete. We then get Sasha following that up, talking about how she's gonna win at WWE Crown Jewel, and everybody else. It's always a promo about I'm better and everybody else is like the worst, of course.
Yeah,
Bianca,
but I'll also say, like, I think with Charlotte, it seemed like her thing was, I want Sasha Banks to win, and then I'll take the championship from Sasha and have both
right,
of the
she did say
championships.
that.
Like, that was a little bit distinct. Sasha's promo was kind of like what you're saying, the more formulaic, like, I'm going to be the best. And then I think you were just about to get to Bianca's promo.
Yes, because I did like Bianca's promo, because she outlined, if you were kind of confused as to who the good guy in this feud is, it's Bianca, because she says here, Charlotte Flair says you got to be ruthless, but that just means she has to cheat. I'm the EST of WWE. I don't have to cheat. I can beat everybody one-on-one. I've made 2021. All of these moments have been about me, and I'm gonna prove it by winning that SmackDown Women's Championship.
This is Raw, and I go here.
I go here now. Yeah, exactly.
Why is she straight from Mean Girls all of a sudden?
Yes, and then we finally get Becky, being Becky, who is just hilarious, talking about how like teaming up with Charlotte is as good as like something about back alley piss, like
teaming up with Charlotte.
Yes, nice. It is just it's just so funny, and we go through all of these just to say that first and foremost, it's weird because Charlotte, let me set this up for you, Lita. Charlotte is the Raw Women's Champion, right? But they just had a draft that goes into effect after Crown Jewel. Charlotte got drafted to SmackDown, but she holds the Raw Women's Championship, which is the other brand. So it just doesn't make sense. Then that's why Matt pointed out that she said she wanted Sasha to win it, because out of the 3 women in that match, Sasha, Becky, and Bianca, Sasha is the only person who is supposed to go to SmackDown. And she's the only person who's fighting for a SmackDown Women's Championship who is supposed to go to SmackDown. So we are all confused as to how this is going to go down, with these titles eventually having to go back to their original brands. But Charlotte throws a wrench into the plan, because when she says that she wants Sasha to win the belt so that she can beat her again, she mentions unifying the belts. And no, stop it. Don't do that, WWE. That would be horrendous.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
But it's an option. I also, one thing, Lita, about like wrestling that comes up so much is that like sometimes when they tell us what's going to happen, or if they like it doesn't happen. So that would be almost maybe strange if Sasha won and then it was Sasha versus Charlotte for the championships, and then like Becky and Bianca are just over here doing their thing alone. So I would assume that this means that we would get Becky or Bianca winning, but we literally have no idea, because the thing is, the wrestling writers also probably don't have an idea of exactly what will happen next. So, by the way, I just need to say, since we were talking about Bianca, this was the coolest moment ever, and they referenced it a million times last week. So about 8 days ago on SmackDown, Bianca throwing Becky Lynch through a table onto Sasha, breaking the table. It was so clean. It was so well. I I just want to do one of those because that was a beautiful moment.
What are your thoughts on this storyline? I know you have to have tips for some of these promos.
Please, yes.
What did you think?
Okay. So
you want to start with Charlotte? You want us to pull up the pictures and you start with?
Yeah, just a general comment. I think one of the problems with the women's sort of like promos versus the men's is that I do feel like with a lot of the men, there's more distinct personalities. You can kind of tell that there's more like, especially with McIntyre, there was kind of like a winking attitude to it where it's sort of like in on it. Whereas all the women, it seems like the only instruction they're given is like, you hate the other women and you're hot and a diva. So they're all doing the exact same performance where they're saying like, they don't know what they're messing with me and like blah, blah, and it's like they're reading a teleprompter, but they all have the same kind of direction. I would say Bianca sold it the best, followed by Becky. And then I found that Charlotte and Sasha were very forgettable with their deliveries. But it's more, it takes you out of it more when it feels like all of them could just kind of swap lines and it would be like exactly the same. Whereas all the men, it felt like had much more distinct kind of takes on their characters.
Yeah,
that's interesting. And I think that's a good point, but it's also a reflection of like where WWE is right now, because I do think that while they do struggle with their women, the characters that they're like the women on their roster do have at times, like this is a situation where I think it even came up last week with Shannon, where it's just so confusing. Like, who's good, who's bad? Everyone's against each other, and so you just have a very strange dynamic. Whereas, like a lot of the time with wrestling, you get one character who is a face, and then the other character who's a heel, and it ends up being like very different. You have a clean story with two distinct characters against each other. But this is not that. But they are this. We'll talk more about it, especially when we get to the Queen. Excuse me, I was gonna say the Queen of the Ring, but the Queen's Crown tournament, just like, in my opinion, they're messing up so badly with the women right now. Other than the fact that this will be a really good match between Sasha, Bianca, and Becky.
Yeah. So
I just don't know like who each of these are.
Exactly.
Like, if I had to describe each of them, I would struggle.
Exactly, because and this is what happens when you rely on the past. You know what I'm saying? Like with Lita being a casual watcher who just watched this week, she doesn't know all the history and the backstory. We know all these three women's history goes so far back, and they even kind of touch on it. Charlotte says, I beat Sasha so many times, it's not even, it doesn't even matter. Like, why do I care about Bianca? She lost in 26 seconds, and I made Becky, so who cares? So we know the large history that makes all these women like individual and how they've all faced and clashed each other. But when you have a storyline like this where it ties up both your belts, you include a draft where half the women are going to Raw, the other half are going to SmackDown, and right now the belts are on people on the opposite who are on the opposite brands, and you're just basically relying on them to put on a show in the ring. And they did. Spoiler alert, they killed it in both the tag match that they did on Raw, because these promos set up a tag match with Becky Lynch and Charlotte versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And then we also later got Sasha versus Becky, which I watched it live. It was no commercials, live on SmackDown. Becky and Sasha went 17 minutes and 20 seconds.
Long.
And it was a classic. But again, we only have a clip for 3 minutes of it. But that's unfortunately what that's what they relied on. That's what they relied on in this feud. They rely on the matches being bangers, and so far they've been smartly ended by like either smart disqualifications or smart interferences to make the stories go further. And they're also looking past once the brand split goes into effect, because you can see in our the latest clip with SmackDown, Bianca Belair cost Becky Lynch the win against Sasha, and they're both going to Raw, so they're gonna have to continue their feud in Raw. So it's very convoluted, and I can definitely get how if you watch these promos like back to back to back, and you're just like, okay, you're just saying the same thing. You're saying I'm the best, the other three suck. I'm the best, the other three suck. You know, but I just want to say these women are like top freaking tier, and it's just it was such a good week for them. I just love watching them wrestle. Like,
but
I get goosebumps.
I think like actually just to like really think about your point, like what you mentioned, Lita, about there not being like super distinct characters. I mean, I would agree, because if you look at it, you have 4 people. Like, they could each have a different approach to getting one up on the other. Charlotte's not even in the match. Right. So it's like a whole weird dynamic. Like, you could be I could see Charlotte being in the character of like antagonizing people, getting on the mic, but not getting physical, not feeling the need to assert her dominance, but still like always just kind of giving the snide comments. Maybe you have Becky who's going for more like a trickster type of thing because she's the champion. Maybe like it's just not distinct at all. Like, I can't even think through fully what role each of them would play, other than Bianca, who's like, as you love to say, Mari, like the white meat baby face. Like, she's just all good, and so that's a great character. But it would just be interesting to see like the different approaches that these characters could take to be like, well, I'm gonna be in this 3-way match, so maybe one of them has the goal of like injuring one of the other two so that they can't be in the match. Like, I'd like that. I would like, I think we'd all like more creativity with it. But like, as Mari also said, just the level of them as performers is like almost good enough, where it's like, we don't care what the story is, we just want the match. And
choreography was sickening.
Yeah,
exactly. Tens
across the board.
Yes, but
there is a woman later that I thought really stood out that we'll get to, but I felt like these women I did not have distinct personalities for. However, yes, fashion 10, choreography 10.
Yes, exactly. And that's such a good point. That is it really is
character work
3.
6 on a good day.
Because you're right. I didn't even think about it really until you said it. Well, it really just was the same thing. And I think it honestly is, because Sasha, Becky are tweeners right now. We really don't know
right in between
where they fall when it comes to like being a good guy or being a bad guy. Charlotte, for me, I don't care what anybody says, she's always going to be my forever heel. We all know how I feel about Charlotte, and I think she can't play anything but a heel. And so like, it's really falling on Sasha and Becky, and we just don't know. But anyways, and that tag team match too was really good. I again, I had to watch the full match, because at one point during the match, like the match hadn't even like really started, and they were brawling, and then like Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville had to come out and restart the match, like, because they were saying, they're like, you 4 women are great at your job. This is not what's gonna happen. You're not gonna you're gonna show these people what you can do. So they had to restart the match to try and get them to again work together, and they still kept taking pot shots at each other during the match. And I just want to point this out, because I really liked it, because this is normally lazy storytelling. Like we'll see it with Drew McIntyre and Big E. If you have people who are facing each other at Crown Jewel, but they might both be faces, and you don't want them to fight before their actual fight, what you do is you team them up, and it becomes very lazy booking. So
that photo makes them look like cheerleaders. They're like throwing her out for a stunt.
Yes, a photo of like Sasha. Was she being thrown by
Yes,
Bianca?
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
being thrown by Bianca onto Becky and
This was
one of the few times they were actually working together.
no, they weren't. That's what I was gonna say. This is right.
Yeah.
This is right before this was right before Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville came out, because Becky and Charlotte, who were supposed to be teammates, were fighting on the outside. And so then Sasha was about to jump on them, but before she could, Bianca came, hit her in the face like 3 times, and then threw Sasha at them. And then so the announce team was like, well, they were kind of working together there. And
They were.
and then one of them was like, not voluntarily. So but it also brings up the history of Sasha and Bianca were actual tag team for like a few weeks there, and that was one of their moves that they did together. So knowing the history just makes the match much better, because they had a lot of callbacks in that match, and we'll see that in the Sasha and Becky match as well, because Sasha and Becky are just some of the best, like when it comes to like ever, when it comes to like chain wrestling and grappling, like they are some of the best when it comes to like countering. They did a lot of countering moves and stuff like that. And again, 17 minutes, and it was so good. Like it was such a classic, and the way it ended made so much sense, because Bianca was on commentary. She was not doing good on commentary, because she was just like me watching the match. She was like, Bianca's commentary was horrible, Matt. Like it was so bad, because she wasn't saying anything, because she was too busy watching the match. The match was just so freaking good. But the match ends because Bianca uses her hair to whip Becky's arm long enough for Sasha to get the roll up and get the win.
But she didn't actually whip the commentators were talking about it like Bianca hit Becky's hand with her hair. Becky moved her hand before Bianca swung her hair. Yeah, I watched this like multiple times, because I'm like, what are you talking about? She didn't get hit with the hair. So Bianca like hit the steps. Bianca, what's her name? Becky moved back out of the way, like, and then
I thought she got her.
Up. No, she didn't get her.
Oh,
well,
which like I think it's a good distinction, just from the perspective of like illegal move versus threat. It was more of a threat than an illegal move, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, Lita.
I just have to comment on the hair.
Yes.
So the hair overall good. I think that Becky's red extensions are fierce. I think those are great. Charlotte's is fine. The platinum curl is not hard to pull off. Bianca's floor length braid, great. Sasha's blue hard front wig, no. That is a party. That is a Party City shake and go wig, girl. You can afford a lakefront.
She said Party City. Oh my god, look at
terrible. She looks bald down the center with the
Mari. Any thoughts, reactions? Are you angry about this? Do you want to fight Lita now? Do we have to get to Pittsburgh or meet in the middle? Because we could do it. I'll be the ref.
I know absolutely nothing about wigs, so this does not
you're like,
me at
I'm all natural, so
yeah, exactly. But it's funny because people on Twitter said the same thing. They were like, when Sasha comes to the ring with that wig laid tight, like at least have the glue is tight, she's gonna have a classic match. And I agree. It's like it's on there. She made sure that it was gonna stay on there, and it's definitely a wig. I'm not mad at the comment.
Well, I'm not either, but also I just love this picture where it looks like Becky's eating Sasha's hair. So
yeah,
this is such a good match.
Is that,
it was.
Is that a Louis Vuitton?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god,
Louis Vuitton what?
She's wearing a Louis Vuitton bikini top and like
wow,
she is.
Yep, her gear is Louis.
That's great. I love that.
Hilarious.
Yes. So
wow, that's actually really
Twitter
obnoxious,
was saying the exact
isn't
same
it?
No, that's iconic.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's another picture of like her.
Oh my god, in the boots. Come on.
Her boots, and this was a choice, but it was a good choice.
What does her booty say?
Sasha Banks. It's her logo.
That's her name. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that makes
Yes.
sense.
Her husband makes all her gear, actually. Yeah,
That's fab.
I forgot.
So
I was gonna say she bought that. Just Party City. Come on.
that's trying to start something.
I don't know between who and who, but
Right.
It's not a good wig. It came out of the bag. It's laid. It didn't move. That's great.
There you go.
It just
I
doesn't
didn't
look
say
good.
that. I didn't
I'm
say
okay.
anything about it.
I'm okay with it.
But
So
I
yeah,
agree.
I just love this, and I'm so confused what's going to happen at Crown Jewel, because not only do we have the match at Crown Jewel, which I already laid out is kind of weird because two women who aren't even on the brand are fighting for it. But they're having Bianca versus Charlotte on Raw on Monday for the Raw Women's Championship. So it makes no sense, because what if Bianca wins that championship, then she's the Raw Women's champion going into the SmackDown Women's Championship. It doesn't make sense. Or do you then pull her out and place Charlotte into that match? I don't care. Doesn't make sense to me.
This is too many people.
I think worst come to worst. I think worst come to worst, it's just going to be like Becky costs Bianca the match with Charlotte. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, something that leads to more fighting and drama. Like I think that we're gonna see another like all-out brawl on Monday on Raw. So
yes, exactly. They just have to figure it out, because the brand split goes into effect on Friday. So either like Becky retains her SmackDown Women's Championship and Charlotte retains her Raw Women's Championship, and then they just hand the belts over. They've done that before for a brand split. They just had the champions exchange belts.
Literally, just like they've had segments where it's like they're backstage, they barely say anything, and then they just switch championships.
So they could do that, but I just feel like if that's where we were getting to after all of this, it would just feel anticlimactic, because they've done a pretty good job of building up how much all four of these women hate each other, you know?
So you're telling me they've done too good of a job?
Yeah, just for a handoff. Exactly.
I mean, that's not the worst case scenario. They could have done an even worse job, and then we get the hand. But yeah, the handoff probably won't be too much fun. But yeah, we'll see. Whatever. Maybe we won't even see the handoff happen.
Yeah.
Assuming there is one.
Up next, we're gonna go into the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns, who is the current Universal Champion, versus Brock Lesnar. And this is such a I love this storyline much for so many reasons.
I didn't know that I loved it as much as I did until we were watching this, and then I was like, I love this. Like Paul Heyman, groveling is not the right word.
Yeah.
He's like a very desperate man, and it's hard to watch, but then it's also amazing to watch, because you're like, is he a mastermind? Does he know what he's doing? Is he really pitiful? Is this a character? Why does Brock Lesnar have that little tiny ponytail, and why hasn't it grown at all in the last month that he's been around? Why doesn't he cut it? Why don't
I want to put like the serial music under all these questions?
Yes.
His secret mastermind? Why is that ponytail so small? Why does it never grow?
Oh my!
This is a collect call from WWE SmackDown.
This is amazing. So
we just figured out our new podcast.
Yeah, WWE Serial. If you're looking at the YouTube, you'll see that we have a picture of Roman Reigns holding the Universal Championship up, and Paul Heyman just kneeling at his feet. The reason why this is such an interesting feud is because Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are two of the biggest stars in WWE right now. Been forever. They're just two big meaty men, and the thing that ties them is that Paul Heyman was Brock Lesnar's advocate. I mean, for most of Brock Lesnar's WWE career, he debuted with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has always been Brock Lesnar's advocate, but Brock Lesnar comes and goes. So when Brock Lesnar comes and goes, normally Paul Heyman goes with him, but this time, after Brock lost there you go. There's the old Universal Champion. Yeah, that's what the Universal Championship used to look like. It's so old. I forgot that's what it used to look like. Yeah.
Ugh.
But the last time Brock gave it up and left, Paul Heyman showed up as a special counsel to Roman Reigns, and he's been special counsel to Roman Reigns for the past 2 years now. Has it been 2 years? What is time?
A year and a half, probably.
Year and a half, something like that.
Let's go with that.
Something like that.
Looks like if you took a bicycle pump to Conan O'Brien.
Oh! Nice. Yes. Pump it. Yes. So he came back.
Lita, don't. No, don't. You don't. He's a muscle man who spends his time running through the woods of Canada. And doesn't care about anything.
The most intimidating country.
He can probably run all the way to Pittsburgh. Like, the Canadian wilderness. Let's just be careful here.
Yeah. So Paul Heyman has now been running with Roman, and then Brock Lesnar made a surprise return at SummerSlam to challenge Roman. So ever since then, it's been 2 months basically. Roman has been questioning the loyalty of Paul Heyman, and Brock has been undermining. He's clearly trying to undermine their loyalty, try and get into the bloodline's head, get into Roman Reigns' head about Paul Heyman, because he keeps dropping nuggets like, oh, I'm a free agent on the draft thanks to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, negotiated that he's a free agent. And then at this contract signing, our first clip was the
begging.
The begging, yes. Roman asking Paul Heyman, are you working with Brock Lesnar? Did you know anything about Brock Lesnar? And Paul Heyman saying, no, it doesn't make sense. How stupid would that be? Why would we tell you our whole plan before we did the plan? And then begging and then telling Brock Lesnar that, Roman is going to beat him. And then the second clip we get was the contract signing last night. And I just would like to set the scene real quick for you guys, because SmackDown was a supersized SmackDown last night. It was it was amazing. The women went on for their long period of time, and it was about like 20 not 20, it was about 14 minutes left in the program before they had to get off, and they had to rush in and put the contract stuff into the ring. Like they're rushing like, oh, we gotta get into the ring, da 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 da. And then Roman comes out. He takes his full entrance, like 3 minutes to get to the ring. People are like, yo, they're about to get cut off, Brock Lesnar comes in, and then we get the contract signing where Roman is about to sign the contract, but he's reading it, and then Paul Heyman is like, as your special counsel, I advise you to sign the contract. Roman signs the contract, he hands it to Brock signs the contract, and then Roman calls him a dumbass for not reading the contract. And then but
what's
then Brock,
what could be in the contract that would be so bad for him to sign?
We don't know. That's why you got to read it. So there could be like a clause in there.
Can be in contracts.
Yeah, they could be like, oh, the Usos are added to the match, and he signed it, and he didn't even see it.
Oh well.
Yeah, it says that you have to kiss your opponent on the lips at the end of every match.
Which, like, they're
not kiss.
That's a whole other story. I'm not going to now, but you can Google and find a picture of Brock or video of Brock Lesnar kissing Kurt Angle, another wrestler from 20 years ago. It's happened. It's happened.
This was all.
He's not against it.
Very homosexual, and I was into it. So I was surprised there wasn't more kissing.
I think it was just like more like homoerotic than anything else. Like I don't but yes.
I just think that every match should be like, how at the end of like a soccer game when you're a kid you do like good game. You should have to do like good game.
So is this for our own personal pleasure, or is this supposed to like enhance wrestling?
It's not an either or.
It's just like what we want to do.
I think yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's all of it.
The funny thing is, Brock, with his boots on that he runs through the wilderness with, tells Roman that he read the contract earlier that morning with his advocate, Paul Heyman, drops the mic and leaves, leaving 5 minutes on the clock, like, which is another thing we'll get to later. But so Roman's sitting there wondering, is Paul Heyman two-timing me? Is he double-crossing me? They have a match, and on Thursday, Paul Heyman will have to pick a side. And the reason why I love this, love it, is Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I think at the beginning of this podcast, I said I miss the days where wrestlers used to fight over their managers or fight over their valets. Like back in the 90s. Yes, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, like wrestlers would have valets, which are women who escort them to the ring, or managers, or and they would have matches where whoever wins gets to take the manager, which in the case of the women is very problematic. But I still love the concept. I like this concept. And I love this. So excited to see. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where Paul goes. Like who?
I mean, honestly, though, like, can this be a situation that's like because we've seen this in so many different shows where it's like the two women who are fighting over the man or something, or like, they're angry at each other. And then they're like, oh, we don't need him anyway. Let's just go and be friends. Like, I would like that. I want Brock and Roman to dump Paul Heyman and just be together and walk off in the sunset. And they could kiss if they want to Lita's point.
I think it's important to note that they can kiss if they want to.
They can kiss if they want to. And you know what? We should celebrate that if that's what happens. But I will say, like, Paul Heyman is sketchy. Get rid of him. If you have questions, like, what does he really add that much to your situation? You can't get anyone better than someone who's like has a very sketchy history in terms of the like he's just a snake. He's a rat. He's a lot of things. He's been called a lot of things over the years, to be clear.
If he was dying by the side of the road, you would not give him a drink of water?
I would give him a drink of after I have the drink of water, I would give him some water. But like they don't need to.
If you're invoking snakes and rats, you better
snakes and rats. Yes.
You better be ready.
Yeah, no.
To leave someone dying of thirst.
I would leave him. I mean, I don't know if I'd leave him dying of thirst. I'd leave him thirsty, but I don't want him to die.
So, Lita, did you like
of water?
Their acting? I know, right?
I think Paul was fine. He was one of those people that I was like, oh, this person is probably like just an actor who's like trying to make it. Roman didn't have a ton to do, so I didn't have a problem with him. Not a lot of line reads. I would say this was one of the more, as someone new to this, I was like, oh, they're just doing like a whole play. That's nice.
It's a whole play.
Yes.
That they're doing like a little one act. But there's drama, there's betrayal, there's everything you need. There's like a sneaky little man, like a Peter Pettigrew type thing where you don't know like which side he's on. He's I feel like less of a mastermind and more of like a mercenary. Like he's just gonna go with whatever's best for
him.
Yeah. So exactly. It's not about like loyalty, it's about like who's gonna give him what he wants.
And Paul Heyman is like I love how he referenced to Roman, like I've been with your family for 40 years. I've always helped you. Like Paul Heyman is literally a legendary manager. He has been in the business since like the 70s, 80s, I don't know. But he even had his own really well-known, well-respected wrestling federation or whatever you call it. His own wrestling company.
Championship Wrestling, ECW.
ECW in Philadelphia. So he is such a brilliant wrestling mind. And it is just so funny that he's like out here like groveling not to be beat up, basically.
Does he still have a ponytail?
No, he does not.
This man is bald.
Yeah, he used to have a ponytail though, even though he was bald.
He had a really
it was like
cool ponytail. It's
It
obnoxious.
sounds really cool.
Obnoxious ponytail.
I was
It
gonna say it
obnoxious.
wasn't cool. It was
fits the
questionable.
character.
Being bald with a ponytail, honestly, it sounds
Honestly,
really cool.
that's
Yeah,
bold.
it was. It's bold.
Bald with a ponytail.
That's like your friend's
you
like
imagine?
divorced dad who drives a van.
Exactly.
You're like, I
and that's
grew
what
it.
he was invoking.
I grew it. I
Exactly.
just grew it in the wrong place. I would chop it off and just glue it to the bald
To the-
spot.
And this is one of
Yeah.
those storylines where they can't touch each other, like they can't fight. They're the main attraction, so they don't get into the ring until they're getting paid to get into the ring type thing. So they have to push the drama through the storytelling. And I think they've done a pretty good job here. Yeah, and we haven't been giving any type of predictions.
Who cares?
Who cares?
I guess no, people care. Well, I mean, for the last one, because we only really just talked about Sasha, Bianca, and what's her name, Becky. I don't know why I'm shading Becky Lunch. I don't know. But did you have a prediction for that?
My only thought it's hard because, like we said, do you go back and you have Becky retain and then you just do a handoff, or do you have Sasha? I thought Sasha was gonna win. I thought Sasha was gonna win because, of course, again, she's the only SmackDown girl on there, and they've been giving her those wins. You know, they gave her a win against Bianca. They gave her a win against Becky. Both were roll-ups in sneaky ways, but I think that helps her, you know. So I'm thinking Sasha's gonna win, but I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna get the title off of Charlotte, you know, the other title off of Charlotte. So I don't know.
I don't
my
know
prediction.
anything. I'm tired. We always try to speculate, and then we end up being here for 5 hours talking about the speculation.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be let's just go with Bianca's winning that match.
There you go.
Know. Something
Lita,
will happen.
Do you
Too
care
many
about
options.
giving a prediction?
Yeah, do you have a prediction?
I mean, the edit is in Bianca's favor.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Like
if we're doing our Survivor Edgic.
That's it. It's all about the Edgic.
I love that here. Yeah, and then so for Roman versus Brock, I'm thinking this is where my brain is taking me if we're reading through the storyline. I'm thinking we're gonna get a Roman retaining by Heyman turning on Brock, and then we follow it up like the next day with them laughing at Brock's expense, like, oh, Brock really thought he could break the bloodline up. Like, no, we knew this. Like, this is us. Like, I think that's what we get.
Maybe that's what we get. I mean, Brock does have that ponytail, and if Heyman had a ponytail still, I would like to see them together again, because then it'd be like a twin magic sort of situation.
Roman has
a lot
a
like
bun.
the Bella
He
twins.
could have a ponytail if he wanted to.
Roman does have a. I mean,
he does
for all intents and purposes. Maybe again, I think that they should both dump Paul Heyman and just go right off into the sunsets with their ponytails. So I'll go with Roman winning here, but I don't know what the logic is. Who cares? That's wrestling. There are so many different things that could happen, but I think Roman retains just because there's a lot more they could do with him and his character as champion beyond Brock Lesnar. I just don't know what Brock Lesnar will do next, but that's not my job to figure that out. That's what the writers are paid for. So that should be, by the way, complete side note, Mari, we should just stop speculating and say, until WWE pays us for our thoughts on what should happen, we're not going to talk about it.
You have high regards for our thoughts, because
I mean, I'm just trying to make, I think we need someone like Paul Heyman to make these deals for us.
Oh, okay. Lita, who do you want to win between Roman and Brock?
Who do you want to win? Who do you believe in more?
Roman is hotter.
Yeah, he
is.
Is.
Yes, he is. He does have great hair.
So I believe in him more.
Yeah.
Same.
Roman is so, yeah. Anyway, so let's go with the WWE Championship match. We got Big E, who is the WWE champion, versus Drew McIntyre. So, Lita, did you Drew McIntyre was one of the people you brought up. Did you really like this storyline here?
Yes. This was literally just like a sketch comedy. Like Big E literally does the thing where he's
Yeah.
like, nobody calls you that. Like that's been in every
Yeah.
kids comedy
Yeah.
movie ever, where it's like they call me the whatever, and it's like nobody calls you that.
Yep.
I like when
Literally.
these two are whispering to each other and obviously
Oh.
saying nothing. Yeah, I thought that this was more fun than the women
Lighter.
because they both have a sense of humor about it in
Yeah.
a way that the women don't. This guy looks like John from David versus Goliath, who was also in wrestling.
Yeah.
He was here. I just
The
didn't
mayor
send
of
you a clip
Slamtown.
because he doesn't have anything going for Crown Jewel this week.
That is interesting. I mean, he looks like him, but he's also like not a foot taller, but like a good half foot taller.
Yeah. I liked the heavy metal bagpipes. All of this was much more comprehensible. I get what's going on. It's sort of like these two have a rivalry, but they respect each other. Yes. And so then they're gonna work together against these other guys. So this was clear. A winking delivery. Good all around from these guys. I like Big E's little booty shorts too.
We like his booty shorts. And speaking of Big E's booty shorts, can I ask, why is Big E the freakiest freak of the WWE? Like, let's get Bryce back in here because his line. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
The juices.
He said, let me just read it. I, for one, have tasted the spoils of being champion. And I don't want to read this with feeling because then this could be clipped and like used out of context. Basically, he said so he let the juices, the nectars drop down between his nipples.
I don't.
Yeah. And he does have big.
He does have actually
nipples. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you really even look at this picture,
that's what I mean. He looks like he's a solid C cup.
Love it.
More than that, probably, actually.
Yeah, like I mean, I agree, Lita. This is one of those storylines where it's way more. It's just fun. It's just funny because Big E himself, he's a goofball. If you didn't tell from the line that Matt just read, he's a goofball.
I'm not reading that full line.
Who is now the champion, and the catalyst of Big E's career. We love him because he's one of those. He's a black man who does not take himself seriously. Like he really doesn't. He's so hilarious and funny and goofy. And they told him he'll never win the championship if he continues to be like that. And he won the championship, and he's still throwing, even though he's trying to kind of be serious here with Drew, he's still throwing in the random awkward weirdness.
We love it. Oh my god, I know. I love everything you're saying, Mari.
Yeah,
I'm like so with it.
Exactly. And this is why this is just a fun storyline. Also, they're both faces, so that's why we got them, teaming up. That's why we got they threw in Dolph Ziggler. It's the whole storyline there, but nobody cares. But it was definitely very fun. But the kind of downside about this is Drew got drafted to SmackDown. The WWE Championship belt is Raw's belt. So again, we're at this point where that draft is kind of, interfering into the storyline you're trying to tell, because why would I think that Drew McIntyre is really going to win this match when the belt that he's competing for isn't on the show that he's on? So,
but I think it's fine. I'm with you. I don't think he'll win it by any stretch of the imagination. I just appreciate Big E being creepily entertaining and like also just he brings you said it, Mari. He brings this powerhouse attitude. He brings the comedy. He brings the in-ring ability. He brings like the charisma, the uniqueness, the nerve, the talent, all of it. And we love that about E. He's just got everything that you could ask for. I'm almost getting emotional thinking about it.
Yeah.
What did we deserve? What did we do to deserve Big E is my question.
So right, what did we deserve? But yeah, and the Usos came in here too. I mean, I don't know. It's just all plot devices just to get them to fight with each other against other people, you know. And then of course after that, since they're the good guys, they actually went through with the match, you know, as much as they could before they kind of turned on each other. So it's whatever. I do like this storyline. I'll be better when it's over. I like Big E defending his. This is technically his first title defense, right after Lashley. So
yeah, after Lashley.
After Lashley. So I'm gonna go with a Big E win here. Lita, what do you think?
Sure. So McIntyre can't win because he's going somewhere else.
I mean, he could win.
It just doesn't make sense to me, because if he wins, is he going back to Raw? I mean, of all of the people, there's nothing tethering him to SmackDown. Like WWE does it, so like if you have a relationship, like if you're married or something like that, you're on the same brand as your partner. He does not have a partner, so he could. So he could go back to Raw if need be, but I don't see the point, especially since Big E just won the title like a few weeks ago, and Drew has already said that he wants to face Roman down the line. So it just doesn't make sense, like storyline wise.
I mean, but in the storyline, Drew, as Big E said, he has a big sword, and I mean, you know,
you can do
that might be it. That might be the difference maker.
I don't know if this is worth noting. My boyfriend knows a lot about weapons, and he said that this is a very authentic Scottish sword. He's doing
so
it's the correct sword.
Claymore. Nice.
Claymore, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's his finishing move. He calls it the Claymore. It's just a kick, but that's why he
it's not actually using the sword.
Yes. Oh God, no.
That sword makes me nervous.
He calls the sword Angela, apparently, as well.
Why though?
I don't know.
Who's Angela?
A Scottish name?
It's it's Rockstar from Big Brother.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
Like, yes, I have to name my sword after Rockstar from Big Brother.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So
sure, Big E can win. He's high drag.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Big E is taking that win, I think. But I think the thing that's also really interesting is that the Usos, I think, might have been the first people to reference this. At Survivor Series, which takes place at the end of November, there apparently will be a champion versus champion match. So right now, that would be Big E versus Roman, and it could still be Big E versus Roman if they keep the championships, or it could be Big E versus Brock Lesnar, or Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, or Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. So it's always interesting to see like what they're setting up for next.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't feel like WWE cares that much about. They could do whatever they want. I don't think they care much about that, but there will be a champion versus champion match if what the Usos said is. And you would have to assume that's what they're doing.
And if anything, that even further may side with Big E winning, because they already did Roman versus Drew for Survivor Series last year when Drew
versus Brock before the pandemic, or at the start of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Okay. So next up we have Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg, which again is something I'm just like, yada yada.
Makes me uncomfortable. The whole thing.
All of these death threats just flying around. Yeah, it is a no holds barred match, no disqualification match. Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg, and so Goldberg has been trying to kill Bobby Lashley ever since Bobby Lashley accidentally put his hands on Goldberg's 15-year-old son. So Bobby Lashley had a pretty good promo saying that he's going to end Goldberg's career, which honestly, please do. But yes.
Confirmed you.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes, confirmed. Which actually, like, as a complete other note, is like such a. I feel like that is one of the things within wrestling where like I'm sure definitely been a lot of anti-Semitism in wrestling. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that your dog is just staring at you.
I was like, what do you need?
It's very questionable. This is why people need to watch on YouTube. It's an evolving. It's like a live tribal council here. Like you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But no, it was like, I think it's Goldberg, confirmed Jew, and we appreciate him, and he's probably the most successful Jewish person in wrestling ever, I would assume. Well, no, easily.
I was just surprised to see a Jew, especially because a lot of these people, these are probably not their real names, right?
Right. Well, Paul Heyman,
this is his real name.
Jewish, yeah. Yeah, this is Goldberg's real name too.
Goldberg is also one of the most successful people in the wrestling business, so
he is.
But
he's also like he's old, Lita. I don't know.
He is old.
I gathered.
Yeah,
daddy vibes.
He's from the he's definitely from the Attitude Era where the
Roman, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I meant like dad.
Oh, well, that means something different.
No, yeah. Sorry. Clarifying.
Oh my god. So what did you think of these promos? We sent you Goldberg's promo before he got attacked by the Hurt Business, and then Bobby Lashley's promo from this week.
I don't care for anything involving minors or death threats. Not fun. None of this was fun.
Same.
Yeah.
Nothing with children. That's
especially them being attacked.
Yeah, it's not fun. Even if it's not real, it's not. Nobody likes to think about that.
I take Bobby Lashley's stance. I think it was a complete accident.
I will say this.
That's still not fun.
I will say this in his defense. He's not 8. Someone say 8 years old.
He's a sophomore in high school.
He's 15, and also he got in the one thing I would say is that security is to blame here, because security should have stopped him from getting in the ring because he's 15.
Yes.
And fire somebody.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think Goldberg's gonna win here just because like he's all rah, I'm doing this for my family. It's a no holds barred, no disqualification match, which is they use that for older competitors to help hide their like kind of flaws when it comes to in-ring work. So I think Goldberg is gonna
because
win
it's
here.
Not as sad if they die because they're at the end of their
life. It is sad.
Any last thoughts on Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley?
No, I mean his son got beat up.
Yeah, I'm just happy to report that in my research I learned that Bill Goldberg did have a bar mitzvah.
Oh.
These are the kinds of things that are worth researching for me.
How did you find that out?
I googled Bill Goldberg Jewish.
But then, like the bar, what?
I always just want to be abundantly clear that I am Jewish and I don't just have some weird thing about like I just want to.
Weird. I mean, yeah, I guess that would be a little bit funny.
If I just came on here as a goy and I was like confirmed Jew, that would be very weird.
But if you weren't, well, I guess that's a great point. Yeah, it's like what?
Just like there's a fine line between appreciation
like,
and
we have
like,
more questions.
obsession.
We have more questions. Wow. Yeah, this is interesting. If anyone Googles Goldberg Jewish, you learn a lot.
Yeah, he was bar mitzvahed at Temple Beth Israel.
Oh my
wow.
God. Why is his whole life on the
Beth
internet? Well, I guess everybody.
He's a celebrity.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right. So next up, I do want to spend a little bit of time.
No, we're good. We hit it.
Thank you.
I'm just fascinated by Bill Goldberg and Judaism.
Seth Rollins versus Edge. They will be in a Hell in a Cell at the pay-per-view. And again, this is one of the better put together feuds here. Lita, I definitely just want to get your initial impressions. We sent you the clip of Rollins entering Edge's home. Yes. We have Edge talking about how he's going to scar Seth Rollins, and then of course Seth Rollins saying he wants to end Edge at Hell in a Cell. What did you?
Yes. Okay.
The fashions. I need to know.
We love the fashion.
Couple things. So
Fashion.
Yes.
one, turns out Edge is a different person than Brock Lesnar. Big reveal. They look exactly the same.
What?
I mean, with the hair, I can.
I thought this was the Canadian guy because he was like, "Oh, I knew you lived in the middle of nowhere," but then I realized that they're different people.
Wow.
Seth Rollins, definitely a big highlight for me. He was my favorite.
Nice.
Because it's so ridiculous, and it's not like an original character because he's like a Disney villain where he's just
like a DC comic villain or something like that.
He has the best laugh.
He's very like Loki or like Scar from Lion King, where he's like underappreciated. Like he feels that he's underappreciated, and that's what kind of drives his evilness, is that like people don't recognize how good he is. And so like that's sort of what seems like his origin story, is that like nobody like appreciates him, and so as a result he became evil. So it's not original, but it's clear like what his thing is. I like his style. I feel like this was something that really stood out to me in all of these clips, was this guy's performance and his commitment.
Yes. How did you feel about the home invasion?
Who cares?
Lita, how do you feel about home invasions?
Well, I'm definitely pro home invasion, sort of generally. But the best part of that easily was Edge getting on the phone with his loved ones, saying, "Go to your brothers." Like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna murder her when she comes home? Come on.
And the funny thing is, so Edge is married to a former WWE superstar, Beth Phoenix, who does the commentary for NXT.
Okay.
And Seth is actually married to Becky Lunch. And they just had a baby together. So Edge at one point says something to the effect of
about Bex.
He says, "What if I pay Becky a visit," or something like that.
But that was like, it was Twitter, such a like a code. It wasn't even like they just brushed right by it, because in the storyline, like they have never acknowledged these two being together, let alone having a child together.
Wow.
Like, I think they congratulated Becky on social media and were like, we're just gonna pretend that Seth isn't also the father.
Wait, why?
I think that's what happened when she gave birth. It was congratulations,
they wanna promote
Becky.
that these two are a couple? Isn't that like good?
sometimes they don't want to. So Becky and Seth did team up when they were both he was the WWE champion and she was the women's champion back in what was that? Was that 20?
Was that a year and a half? Was that right before the pandemic?
That was right before the pandemic. Yeah, it was 2019. They did do on-screen tags together, but they rarely ever mention who the wrestlers are dating if it's not within the storyline.
Okay. And part of that is probably because like they want them to appear single, so that it's like they might invade somebody's home and sleep with their wife.
Something like that. I think it's mostly just like the fact that, like, in theory, Becky could have a storyline relationship with like Big E, for example.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But it gives them more freedom if they're single. Also, like, so much of this is like sex appeal, especially for the women, that like being in a relationship is not.
But also the other thing is, like, if you have Becky who's not a heel, well, Becky is a heel now, and Seth is also a heel, but there was a point where Seth, I think, was a heel and then Becky wasn't, and so it would have just been weird to try to like. It's like, this relationship came out of nowhere, and then you have to work it into the story. And I think it's just easier if they don't work it into the story that much.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by like, so Becky and Seth are both moving to Raw because the brand split is also dependent on where you travel to, because sometimes Raw will be in like Cleveland, Ohio, and SmackDown that week will be in like Pittsburgh. So that's
so far away from each other.
Yeah.
A whole 2 hours.
Like, a whole 2 hours, exactly. But that's normally how it is. It's always like cities that are just kind of close, you know. But they also have different off days, so that's why they want them to be on the same brand. They've been considerate about it, more considerate over the last few years. And again, there it is. There's a good picture from 2019 when they were together and both champions. And cute couple. Yeah. And they have
They're
a baby.
both very attractive.
They really are.
Becky Lunch just had a baby it'll be a year.
Wow.
It'll be almost a year. So 10 months 11 months ago. So yeah. Exactly. But the fact I like that she doesn't like really brag about that, because it's very annoying.
And why would she brag about their relationship? Because
no, not their relationship.
No, about her body.
About her body.
Oh, well, exactly. That's a whole yes.
We've talked about that.
Not brag. That's and I hope people are getting away from that, because that's like a
sucks.
I did this, like, I'm not human. I just got my body in insane shape. Like,
it sucks so much. They do that on American Ninja Warrior a lot, where they're like, can you believe that, like, she has a 6-pack and she had a baby last year or whatever? It's like, I can't believe anyone has a 6-pack ever. We don't
as a total side note, this makes me think of Survivor and another RHAP podcast that just came out with Parvati from Survivor Legend. And she talked about even just like going out to the islands, like very shortly after having a baby, and like the effects on her body. And people, I'm sure, were like, it's so impressive, you're out here doing XYZ. And it's like, there's a lot even beyond the surface that's going on. And so shout out to moms is a thing. I would say happy Mother's Day, early or late, whichever
one.
Yeah, whichever one.
We almost couldn't be further from Mother's Day in the year.
Half Mother's Day.
We're almost halfway. November will be halfway.
Oh, well,
that's so funny.
We're close enough.
Close to halfway.
Almost half Mother's Day. I need to get a card for that.
So this Edge and Seth Rollins thing, when we're talking about what needs to appropriately be in a Hell in a Cell, like, this is it. And again, breaking a Hell in a Cell out in the middle of, this is normally when Hell in a Cell is, but like, remember, they moved it this year, but like having it be on Crown Jewel, like, it's such a stacked card. Like, this just kind of really puts it over, because you normally end a feud in a Hell in a Cell. A Hell in a Cell is like literally just a big old steel cage around the whole thing, and basically it's so you can't run, and you just beat your opponent to, like, it's so much. So both of them saying they're gonna end each other. It's standard par for the course. I'm torn who's gonna win here, like, to be quite honest. I think righteously the storyline would suggest that Edge should win. Righteously. But I could see Seth winning, because Edge is, again, he's older, he's a part-timer, and he might want to, get off the road for a little bit. So you can rightfully have Seth beat Edge, especially despicably, and make Seth a huge heel that people will want to see, take a loss, by having him put Edge down, so it's interesting. I don't know who's gonna win. I think Seth kind of needs it, so I'm gonna say Seth wins here.
I don't feel comfortable with Edge's fashion on SmackDown. I feel like I just don't like. First of all, there's a whole conversation about his sneakers, but we'll get there. I don't like that he was wearing a cardigan in the ring. I would probably
That's not a cardigan.
What is he wearing then?
That's a jacket. It's got a zipper.
What kind of jacket?
Looks like it's like a corduroy, though, or something.
Even
cardigans do not have zippers. Get out of here.
They don't.
Is that look? Here's what I'll give you. I don't like it. I don't think that it's.
He's dressed like a 22-year-old.
He is dressed like a 22-year-old.
That's true.
But he's like 52.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to go with Seth Rollins for this match. Just because
it's a boot.
His fashion's off.
Definitely a boot.
It's a boot what?
The outfit is a boot. It's not a
booting
toot.
the outfit.
It's a boot.
Oh, I thought
yes.
Sweet, are you Canadian?
No.
Oh my God.
Nat, it's a Drag Race reference.
God. Oh, a boot.
A boot.
Like as opposed to a toot.
Oh, I don't know. It's not a. It's a toot.
It's
No,
you're
a
the
boot-
main
a
one who
boot
pulled
is
it up to
bad.
complain about it.
You
Wait,
just
is it a boot or is it a toot?
a boot
A
is
boot-
bad, a toot is good, a shoot is great.
I
These
can't believe we're
wrestling terms
explaining
are
this
too
to you.
much.
It's like you want to give that outfit a boot because you don't like it. You boot it.
A big boot.
Yeah. I got that one, man. I got you.
The wrestling drag race other thing we just need to
Terminology
we need a
definitely
glossary of
crosses
terms.
over.
Mari, I'm making an announcement now that Mari and I are going to make a glossary / dictionary of wrestling / reality TV terms, and we're going to be selling it on RHAPisawebsite.com.
I think a whole RHAP encyclopedia would be good, like terminology
kinda
from
fun.
all,
we're not
all of
doing
their
all that.
RHAP-ups. No,
We-
everybody contributes their own entries for their own shows.
Yeah. So make it
Mitch
happen,
Watch
somebody.
for the challenge would be in there.
Yeah,
Mitch
tweet
Watch.
what? Dishwash?
Mitch Watch.
Dishwash.
Mitch
Watch.
Mitch
Who's
Watch.
Mitch? Is he the guy from The Circle?
I am not about to explain that. You got to go listen to the
Oh my
Challenge
God.
RHAPup podcast to hear that.
I haven't watched. Okay, fine.
So, next
no.
up,
Too much crossover.
we have Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali. This was interesting. This was a very interesting storyline choice because it's been months. Mansoor and Mustafa Ali have they teamed up. They went from feuding to teaming up, and they're the ultimate like odd couple pairing. Mansoor is so happy and delightful, and Ali is like he's been so jaded and he's in the dark side, and it looks like they were finally both about to come to the light. But then after losing their match against who are they fighting this time? Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Ali beats up Mansoor backstage. He tells him, like, you can't be positive. I told you this business, it chews you up and spits you out. It's a very Big Brother narrative in the sense of like you're like an actual Big Brother. Like he's saying like you're too nice.
Julie Chen Moonves.
You're too nice. We have to smarten up. He's like, you're too trusting. And this is exactly where their feud started. So I'm not surprised because Mansoor, whenever they go to Saudi Arabia, Mansoor is from Saudi Arabia, from what I understand. He was found there, like they did tryouts there, and
you make it sound like
they
he was
just found
like
him
in a forest.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
We rescued him, but really he rescued us.
There you go. He is from I don't want to say he's from Saudi Arabia because I'm assuming he is, but I just don't know. But they that's where they got him from. And every Saudi show they always find a match for him. It's so funny. It was like a inside joke because he was learning the ropes and he would never be on WWE TV, but every time they go to Saudi Arabia he would have a match, and not only would he have a match, he would win. He is actually on a winning streak where he's never lost at a Saudi Arabia show. So I'm not surprised that they turn this and they're giving him a match against each other, and I think this is going to be a great match. I'm just afraid that I just don't want them to split up as a team because they are a really good tag team. The tag team division is so lacking that I really don't want them to lose another team, and I really still like this storyline. So I'm hoping with the fight, like all it is either one of them teaches the other to be good, like Mansoor wins and teaches Ali we don't have to do it this way, we can go back to being good and nice, because that was the whole thing. Ali came in as a nice guy and he was a Muslim wrestler and he wanted to show how, like, you know, we are a peaceful people, all this stuff. This is from him. He's saying he wanted to be that representation for people, and then he kept getting, like, he never won, he kept getting beat down, and then he turned heel not too long ago. This is Mustafa Ali. He turned heel a long time ago, and that's what he's trying to get Mansoor to do, because Mansoor was where he originally was. So I just hope this storyline just ends with them still being a team, and maybe they'll be like good guys again. Or I would actually prefer them to be bad guys, only because Mustafa Ali he's amazing he's been amazing as a heel. But I do get the story them going to be good guys, and I think the tag team champions are heels-ish. So I don't even know. Yeah, so I that's what I think. Lita, what did you thinking of seeing these
I didn't care for this. I didn't like him assaulting him backstage. I didn't I don't know. It's too over the top, and it's too like one guy is bad and jaded and one guy is good and wide-eyed and innocent. I don't know. Not for me, this one.
I think it's like it's like a simple story. They've been building it a long time.
It's been a few months.
But also, yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that they're building up a story for around either of them. Like that's the thing that I think, and not just, well, you just agreed. So I'll say to speak for Mari also, but I'm sure you'll share thoughts. Like it's from a meta perspective, it's great that they have a storyline or something to work with. The actual story, I mean, you know what? That's where I'll leave it. Where it's like, I'm glad that they have something to do as opposed to nothing. Because these two are both like very talented and just haven't had the opportunity to show it at all. So it's interesting. But yeah, I don't want them fighting. Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
I feel like once a week, that's where I end up, where I just want everyone to get along in wrestling. Peace and love and unity and respect too.
Exactly. I just love them both so much as performers, especially for Mansoor to be as good as he is for being relatively new to the business, if I remember correctly. Like and Ali is just, oh my God, he's so good, and he never has gotten that. That's why I get his jaded character, and I understand why it makes sense for him, because they really have never pulled the trigger on him. Every time it feels like they're about to give him a big push and get behind him and like maybe give him a title or two, it just doesn't happen, and they stall it. And he's so good with social media and his promos and stuff like that, but they you know, either he's a few things that the WWE just have never celebrated. He's brown, he's short, you know, exactly, and
relatively skinny.
Yes, really, exactly, not
kind of
too bulky. So I just want him to win, man. You know, so
yeah, but also, I mean, look, it's just good that they like. In what world would we see this match happen? Like, it's nice that it's happening. And Mansoor, I just double checked, was born in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. So he's from there, and he'll get a great reaction, and hopefully they have time to like put on a really great match. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
Whether or not people choose to watch the pay-per-view, that's another question. But hopefully the great match is great. If the match happens and nobody watches, it still happens. So it's like the tree falls in the forest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Where we found Mansoor.
Yeah. We'll find him.
Yeah. So I think Mansoor wins here or whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's definitely yada yada through this.
Yada yada all of this. What are we yada-yadaing?
The Rock Tag Team Championship. We have RK Bro, who are the current champions, versus AJ Styles and Omos, who they took the titles from at SummerSlam or whatever. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care anything about the storyline.
History. Everyone who's listening probably already knows what happened.
They know.
So just remember those things.
Like RK Bro, like they're really pushing them as a tag team. AJ and Omos, like they were these are four people who are literally just thrown together into random tag teams, and I just don't care. I really don't. Lita, do you have any thoughts about the clip we sent you?
No thoughts, just vibes. Little pink shorts, no shoes.
Yeah.
That's wait, does he have little green nail polish? I didn't notice that. Riddle? Yeah. Oh
I
my God.
can't
His
tell.
toenails are definitely
they?
green.
His toenails?
Oh yeah.
Are they?
You really have to like look really
Oh.
closely to see it. And I'm not gonna.
Okay.
This is
Zoom
not that
in.
kind. Oh, they
This is
definitely
not that
are.
kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, I
podcast.
was gonna say, this is not that kind of
Not
podcast.
getting this
Go to, like,
podcast on WikiFeet.
footfinder. Yeah, well, wikifeet.com.
Oh
Yeah.
I
no.
was gonna say footfinder.com. I just
No.
made that up in case anyone wants to
WikiFeet is
register that
real.
domain name.
Oh my gosh. I
Yes.
didn't
And
know.
so do you think he's on it?
Yes.
Probably.
Everybody's probably on it.
Yes, everybody's on
You're
it.
probably on it. You don't even know.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's probably the way to I'm gonna start. Mari, when we set up
Selling
a
them.
TikTok for the Wrestling RHAPup, remind me to just get my feet in there a lot, because I
I
think
will.
that'll
Drive
up our
up.
numbers. I do have
Mhm,
nice
I
feet.
agree.
Thank you. I do. Thank you.
The biggest thing that I think I probably noticed from this was that they were really bigging up Omis. So maybe we'll finally get where like Omis and AJ break up and they think Omis is ready to be a singles competitor.
So let
but
me tell
I
you,
don't-
what I heard is that they were thinking about breaking up AJ Styles and Omis prior to this, prior to the draft that just happened over the last week and a half. And somebody allegedly, this is probably not even true, just the news, the rumors that come out about wrestling were that there was a veteran WWE star who said that Omis wasn't experienced enough to go off by himself and be a singles competitor. As a side note, I just want to point out, and I don't know why I haven't noticed this, but this picture of Omis is making me know he's wearing some good jeans. Like, this man is wearing skinny jeans,
Yeah.
and he is like
He
a
moving.
large person. He is huge, but he's not a great wrestler. So it makes sense to me that they're still together, and maybe he's learning a lot from AJ Styles as opposed to trying to do it on his own. Because AJ Styles, like, Lita, as context, like, AJ Styles has been in the wrestling business since the 90s, wrestling as a wrestler, like, consistently. He hasn't taken breaks. I guess he just started pretty young because he's not super old now. But anyway, he's working with Omis, who is brand new to the wrestling business. And so, like, even just being together and spending time together or traveling together on the road, if they do, there's a great opportunity for Omis to learn from AJ Styles. So
from all of that, I think RK Bro, I think they retain, and I just don't care. All right, so those are all of the singles matches from Crown Jewel. Let's get into like the King of the Ring tournament.
we will.
So, and this is where we'll add a little bit of context to some of the limitations put on by the host site.
Sorry, I'm fired up.
Yeah, I know. So let me just talk about the first round matches while Matt pulls up the pictures. The first round match we had Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. We had Finn Balor versus Cesaro. These are the SmackDown matches here. We had Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. And then we had Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal on Raw. So Sammy ended up beating Rey Mysterio, which is interesting.
Very.
It looked like they used the whole Rey Mysterio and Dominic storyline to kind of get in the way of Sami Zayn winning. But the thing is, Sammy is Syrian. Syrian Canadian, I think it is, Matt, something like that. And so he's not allowed in Saudi Arabia. Like
he's not going there.
There's no way he can go there. And the finals of the tournament take place at Crown Jewel. So when he won, it was kind of like, oh, okay. But we did get a clip in the second round. It was Finn Balor beat Cesaro in the first round. So we got Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn on SmackDown last night. And as predicted, because this is the round right before the finals, Finn Balor wins, which Finn Balor is being pushed right now. So that makes sense in that scenario. But also, again, Sami Zayn is not allowed to step foot in Saudi Arabia.
And probably would never want
allowed.
to.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it is interesting, but I appreciated that he came like so close to, you know, to doing it, because then it's a conversation like, wait, why can't he win? What why can't he go to Saudi Arabia? So like putting more just like getting more eyes on that, I think is important. Highlighting injustice is a nice thing that happens sometimes unintentionally within WWE. They weren't trying to highlight the fact that he can't go there. That'd be funny if they really cared.
Yes, exactly. Again, we also had Xavier Woods versus Ricochet, which was a really good match. The two of them are like really good workers. They were just flying their butts off all around. And the biggest thing is Xavier Woods is talking about being the king of the ring for the longest time. It's the one thing he wants to do. It's the like one of the one titles that he really wants to win. So the crowd, I don't know if you guys noticed, I don't know where they were on Monday. I forgot to check, but that crowd for the Monday Night Raw was so hot, and they really were behind Xavier Woods, and you could tell from the clip. And I really want him to win. And when we got Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they are tag team partners. So that's why Xavier Woods was out there rooting on Kofi Kingston. And I don't know if you've noticed there, Lita, but their trunks matched Big E's trunks because they are a group called the New Day, all three of them. So I was convinced we were getting Kofi Kingston versus Xavier Woods, and what would have been a very emotional second round where, you know, Kofi would have to decide if he wants to take away his friend's dream. But of course we don't get that because it's WWE. They have Jinder Mahal beat Kofi to kind of up his heel status, so that now we have Xavier Woods versus Jinder Mahal, and Jinder Mahal is very tall and Xavier Woods isn't as tall, and it's definitely a David versus Goliath setup with Xavier Woods wanting to be king of the ring. So I mean,
also just to like add to that dynamic, Jinder Mahal has Veer and Shanky, who are even taller and larger, and they're behind Ginger. Wow. They're behind Jinder and in his corner. And so like Xavier Woods up against three very large people. Who knows? Will he make it to the tournament? I don't know. I could see a world, Mari, where Jinder makes it to face Finn Balor. That would make sense.
I can too. And that's the very, very unfortunate thing about all of this. Yeah, because again, Xavier Woods literally wants nothing more to be king of the ring. They will more than likely never put the WWE championship on him again. He is too short for that, unfortunately. That WWE are dicks. They hardly ever put the belt on people they consider to be like secondary champions. That's why he's been a tag team champion like 10 times, 11 times now. So I really wish they would just put the crown on him, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Lita, did you take away anything? These are just matches, so did you take away anything from these matches at all?
It's difficult because, you know, like you said, it's just the matches, so we don't have
just the matches.
The storyline as much. But I mean, it's still interesting to see like everybody's kind of different style of like, I mean, I'm always gonna call it choreography, but
please.
And hearing kind of like the recurring terms from the announcers, nobody's home, you know, like just kind of picking up on the terminology. But I actually didn't notice that Xavier was particularly short. I think it's hard when you don't like see people kind of like in a lineup, but I didn't realize that. How short is short?
Oh,
I mean, not that short.
It's not. He's not that short.
5'9".
Yeah, something like that. But him and Ricochet are both kind of short, so that's why it's kind of harder.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. He's 5'11". Xavier Woods is 5'11".
Well,
Unfortunately, it's considered short. It's like football. It's like, you know, it's like football. Like I don't know if you noticed, you saw how Big E is called Big E. But you saw how tall Drew McIntyre was.
I thought that it was maybe ironic.
No, Big E is actually like,
sad,
I think he's like 6'2".
God!
Big E looks short compared to a lot of people.
So McIntyre is like 6'8".
Yeah, but I mean, basically. Yeah,
Okay, so
kind of. But the other thing to note that I'll just put out there is like this is
He's
me
6'5". That's so
As a
tall.
kid, I was a massive wrestling fan to the point where I fell down many rabbit holes. And one of them that I distinctly remember was wrestlers' actual heights versus their build heights. So
yeah,
like if
exactly.
like Xavier Woods is probably like, let's say 5'9", but they say he's
Yeah.
5'11".
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
You know, and then
It's
like
like
some of the
Tinder.
taller people,
Yes,
it's like, oh, you're
Tinder.
6'9", but we're gonna say 7 feet for like the effect
Yeah.
of it. So so I have trust issues now because of that.
Well, it's good. It's prepared you for life because men are constantly lying about their height by several inches.
About many things, I'm
Exactly.
sure.
I think it's like 2 inches. Yeah. So exactly. So that's what, and so in Roman, same thing. I think Roman 6'4", 6'5" area. Him and Drew
He might
and
be 6'2".
Brock.
It's
That's their
internet
build
says
height.
he's 6'3". Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
want see.
Yeah.
We could do this forever, and then
Forever, yeah.
sometimes wrestlers' heights change. It
Iconic.
happens. It's happened.
So that's what's considered small. So like Vince
6
McMahon
feet
is
considered tall
notorious.
or small. Yes.
Small, exactly. Yeah, like he's notorious for loving his champions to be larger than life. So that's why
I love a big meaty man. Oh my
there
god,
you go.
I was not ready for
That
that.
was a
I'm
choice.
vegan, so this is actually really
Big
funny
vegan.
She's like,
about
no,
meeting
thank you.
men.
Yeah. So looking at the bracket again, I don't know. So it's either going to be Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal, or Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods. Jinder Mahal touched he put on the crown and scepter, and if I remember correctly, that's normally the kiss of death. If they have a shot of you in the actual crown or winning the actual thing, it's normally what's not going to happen.
But Mari, the other side of it is, when's the last time they had a fate? Well, beyond King Nakamura, that whole situation, I don't even want to talk about that. That's a whole weird situation.
Yeah.
But beyond him as a face and who's calling himself king, like when's the last time they had a face win King of the Ring?
That's true. That's very true.
I think Jinder Mahal has a good chance of winning here, actually.
Yeah, and they can use him beating Xavier Woods to amp his heelness up. So it sucks, but it might actually happen. And again, it's also taking place in Saudi Arabia. Jinder Mahal he's Indian, but to WWE, they're like same thing.
Yeah,
they're like, throw the
yeah.
brown people out there, guys. It's okay. Like that is literally their.
I mean, I think that. If I had to call this tournament overall, I would say I think Jinder's winning. Don't hinder Jinder. Was that a phrase that people used? Don't hinder Jinder. Okay, that wasn't a fever dream.
So let's move on to the Queen's Crown tournament. Again, we did get a little bit more here in terms of storyline. So we got the first round matches were choices, because we had Toni Storm versus Zelina Vega, and we had Liv Morgan versus Carmella, and those are the first round for SmackDown. Toni Storm is such a great wrestler. I mean, all four of these women are really good wrestlers, but Toni Storm and Liv Morgan specifically, they're both faces, and they both have very large fan bases. So for them to lose against Zelina Vega and Carmella, a lot of people were upset about it, they really were. And then so we get Carmella versus Zelina for the second round, and they were previously tagging with each other. They're both heels. Before the match, Zelina told Carmella, you don't have to wear your face mask. Carmella's been putting on a weird face mask thing to protect her face.
Yeah.
This was my favorite. When I said that there was a girl that really got me later on, this is her, Carmella. She's got the best outfit, the pink sparkly everything. I love this face thing. Oh my gosh. And the leopard print, I love her.
I'll say, when you
her extensions are fierce.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
Yes. The quote unquote, she refers to herself. She's the self-proclaimed most beautiful woman in WWE. When you described your wrestling outfit, honestly, this is exactly, well, this wasn't exactly what I thought of, but I did picture the high boots, the kind of bikini type of outfit. And the face mask that she wears is such an inspired choice. I
It's
don't know why she wasn't
amazing.
wearing
Oh,
it
this
there.
woman, first of all, is a drag queen.
Yeah.
She's
You know
got
what?
such a full
Yes.
beat. Like, oh my god, she looks amazing. I love her.
Exactly.
Oh,
This
Carmella,
is
look
true.
at that. Getting the
And-
love she deserves. Except, and as a side note, like, I like that there's in the background they have this storyline between Carmella and Liv Morgan that's still continuing. So
It
it's
looks like she
nice.
just murdered a member of the Jabberwockies dance crew.
Yes.
Or like she just like assassinated the Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
And this is it. Like they are both going to Raw. So it makes sense that they are going to continue it makes sense that they're going to continue their feud, and that Liv cost Carmella the her spot. So if you bring up the bracket, Matt, Zelina moves on to the finals. So she's going to the finals. On the other side with Raw, we had Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. Again, we kind of talked about their previous match where Dana Brooke was getting she's getting very harsh critiques on commentary, which is like normally they really don't do that. So that was a little weird. And before we move on about Shayna Baszler, I want to say that we had a match between Doudrop and Natalya, which was probably the least interesting match of the tournament, honestly. Doudrop beat Natalya. Shayna Baszler beats Dana Brooke, but that's not the last we see of Shayna this week. So
this is
Naomi has been she's been feuding with Sonya Deville. Naomi has been asking for a match. Naomi is like, I want a match. Sonya, give me a match. Last week, Sonya said, you'll have a match and it'll be versus me. And everybody's like, oh, okay. It's Sonya hasn't fought in like 14 years. Lita, it is a story. Like, she had a stalker who broke into her house and literally almost killed her and her best friend in real life. In real life.
Sonya Deville.
Yes, to Sonya Deville.
About a year ago.
About a little bit more than a year ago.
And she was with, she was with Mandy Rose, right?
Yeah,
who's also a wrestler at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Her best friend. And so he had like a kidnap kit with like ropes, he had like knives and everything.
Tape, whatever.
Her alarm system,
like they were thankfully safe, right?
Yeah,
but
and so she had to testify at the trial. They caught him immediately, thank God. She had to testify at the trial, and she has not wrestled since. So she's been taking some time off, but she came back earlier this year as a WWE official. So she's been working as in the capacity of a WWE official. And originally, when she first started this kind of feud with Naomi, she's like, I'm an official. I'm not going to get in the ring. So when Naomi thought she was going to have a match against her, she was really amped up. But Sonya comes out. She says she introduces, and she's an official, so she can make the match for whatever she wants to. And she adds Shayna Baszler to the match. And it becomes a 2-on-1 handicap match. And I just want to quickly say I loved everything about this, mostly because it makes Shayna Baszler look like a complete badass. Shayna Baszler will be going over to SmackDown to be with Sonya Deville and Naomi. So this makes sense. If Shayna Baszler ends up becoming Sonya Deville's like kind of like, enforcer or henchman or anything like that, that's going to be so cool.
They look good together.
They look so good together. They both have MMA backgrounds. And also Naomi is finally getting the storyline that she's always wanted. She's been in the WWE for 10 plus years. She's been a women's champion, but she says the one thing she wants to do before her career is over is have like a career defining feud. And this is it, because it's drawing on the real life of her being not utilized to her fullest abilities by the WWE. It's a very her versus the authority type feeling. She feels like she's being dragged down, and that's what her fans like me and a lot of people think. They think they could be using her better. So they're drawing off of real life. It's making Sonya look like a badass, it's making Shayna look like a badass, and this has been a really good feud for the past few weeks, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. So I loved everything about this, and I think what'll happen is, because it's going to be Shayna Baszler versus Doudrop for the finale of the to get to the Queen's Crown final match, I think Naomi is going to cost Shayna the match. And yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen. And I think it'll be Dewdrop versus Zelina at Crown Jewel. But damn, I love this. Any thoughts
Let me
about this?
just also throw in that, like, I think so. The other thing that I love about Sonya and Shayna being together is that I know that Shayna, like, well, both of them are part of the LGBT community, but it's like and that brings up a whole other thing that we have to get to that part of the conversation in a second about who's actually going to go to Saudi Arabia, because that's a very complicated situation. But I mean, I love seeing these two together. They, as you mentioned, Mari, they both have MMA backgrounds, and I hope that this is like they did just take apart so many teams, women's teams especially, in the draft, and so I hope that they're doing that to build back these like maybe long-standing teams. Like, I can't say enough. These two look so great together, and the feud with Naomi is smart. And I liked that Naomi like held her own in the match
Oh
for
yeah, she
a
did.
good amount of
Yeah.
time, which was nice. But yeah, I don't know. Lita, do you have thoughts on either of these two or on anything that we have said about this and them?
I just liked seeing like some body diversity in this segment as opposed to the first four women that we saw. I mean, especially
Yeah.
with Dewdrop, but even like I don't know, just they all look not like carbon copies
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way that the first four women
Small,
all have
petite,
very
yeah.
similar body types, like different amounts of kind of muscles. But other than that, yeah, so that was nice to see. And good to know about sort of the LGBT community connection, because I figured when you're talking at the top like about homophobia in it, I feel like that's probably it's probably more, just a guess. I'm guessing it's more prevalent that there are more queer women than men in wrestling.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and I mean it's also fair to I mean, I would assume that it's more. I think it's probably more accepted for like queer women to
Yes.
be
Yeah,
in
they're
or
more
like in
out.
sport. I mean, actually, like in sports in general, I think it's a
Period.
good
Right, because
example.
it aligns with culture's
Yeah,
perception of lesbians as that they're like
Mhm.
butch and they're
yeah,
masculine, so they're engaging in masculine activity, which is a kind of homophobia,
yeah,
obviously.
Yes.
yeah.
But it is more accepted to be a queer woman in sports than it is to be a queer man, because that violates the gender norm for an athlete
Exactly.
to like men.
Yes, that's why we need this women's studies degree in
I
wrestling. We
know.
need you on this podcast. And
You
also,
have
I
to
will say,
definitely come on again.
I
Yeah.
will say there's so much there that's interesting. I will also say, as I pull up the bracket, what's interesting to me is that Dewdrop is a bisexual woman and Shayna is a gay woman, and one of them is going to be in Saudi Arabia competing apparently.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
or I mean, look, here's what I'm gonna assume, because I assume that something needs to come up. Let's say that Shayna wins. Let's say that Shayna wins this match against Dewdrop, and then somehow Naomi takes Shayna's spot. Like, I don't know how that would work, but I just don't understand. I mean, maybe Dewdrop will win and they'll just kind of like ignore the fact that she's bisexual. I don't know, but this is actually kind of like groundbreaking-ish, or like very interesting that they'll have
Yeah.
a queer person
It
on
it
the
really
show.
is. Yeah, like they're basically guaranteed, yeah, a queer person, but also originally when the Saudi shows started, there's only like one women's match on the card. Like
Yeah.
this is like two,
Was it
but
one or was
also
it zero?
it was right. It was
The
like
first
zero, then it was one, and then it was like only blonde girls could be on. Like
Blonde
so, yeah. You don't remember with the Natalia? I think it was Natalia
and Lacey.
and
That was the first
Lacey.
match.
Yes, that was their first match. It was like they it was only a certain female. Yeah. So either way, this is groundbreaking. Depending on who it is, between the being queer and just like Lita said, the different body types too. So it's interesting. It will be really interesting to see, because normally women's matches have not been uh no, I shouldn't say well received, because I feel like that's like the fans seem to like the women's matches.
Yeah.
But like they
less
were
supported by the
yes less supported, and when they go they will have to put on
Cover
like long
Yeah.
and a t-shirt over and all of that good stuff or whatever. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know who's gonna win this at all. I thought it was gonna be Shayna. I thought we were gonna, because Shayna goes by her moniker as the Queen of Spades. So I thought that's what we were headed towards when they first announced this tournament. But I don't think she needs it, because you also have to take up that gimmick, like that queen gimmick. And if she's about to be Sonya's like right hand, I don't think she needs that gimmick. So
make her the queen. Who cares? I don't know what's gonna happen. That's like the reality of this. But I mean, anything. I get, like I was saying, I think Shayna would advance, and I could see her winning the tournament. Weird things though.
Exactly. So that's it for the Crown Jewel card. Everything that we've talked about can be found in our highlights and our highlights playlist down in the description or in your podcast notes. Again, check out the clips, watch them alongside of us as we talk about them. But this is the time where we unfortunately have to say goodbye to Lita. It was so great having you on, Lita. We might have to you might have to come on again, because I would really love to delve deep into some of the more of the women's stuff with you, and then you'll be a little bit more well versed the next time, so you'll be like, I've seen these people before, you know. So this was so fun. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I will definitely be more, now that I know that it's like so much more than just people fighting, like I feel like I'll be more attuned to the culture. You can find me on Twitter at Lita Tweeted. I'm private, but just request me. I accept everybody. You can find me on Instagram at Lita Grammed, and you can find my dog on Instagram at Sassy Cassie PGH.
Oh, there you go. And don't you have a Twitch too, right?
Yes, twitch.tv/Pitty Gaming, PITTIE. We haven't done it in forever because we were out of town all summer, and then grad school started. Turns out grad school's hard. But you can still follow it. We'll get it back up and running eventually.
Yeah, we have it linked in our description.
We do. And so thank you so much for even joining us. And speaking of pitying us and being part of this wrestling podcast. And
no, only pity short for Pitbull in Pittsburgh. No actual pity involved.
We'll take your word for it. But either way, we appreciate you. We're so glad that you could be on and be part of these shenanigans, this mess, this
very
train wreck sometimes, all of the things.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll talk
Bye,
soon.
Lita.
Thanks, Lita.
Oh man, amazing guest. I love when we have great guests like that. So,
I love when we have a great guest like that. And we didn't even reference the fact that her name's Lita. That's like
I know. I know, right?
Look at that.
Look at that.
I hope no one gets confused.
Gross.
Well, actually, I hope a lot of people get confused and listen and are still listening because they thought other Lita. But hey, you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it. If you're new here, thank you. And if you didn't watch the video and thought that was Lita from WWE, well, just pretend it was, and we're all good.
Exactly. So let's continue. We do have, there are some things that I did want to just kind of briefly touch on, because like I said, we basically did the whole podcast around the Crown Jewel match, but I definitely wanted to give a shout out to the Usos versus Street Profits. They had an amazing SmackDown tag team titles match, street fight, like on SmackDown, and it was so good. And it just again made me think, didn't we get the Street Profits versus the Usos at Extreme Rules or something like that, and they did not have any Extreme Rules? And I think we talked about how we thought it was going to be a great match, and it was a great match, but like why didn't we get this earlier? Because this was a great match.
I think we have to be missing something about that whole extreme. I'm so tired of thinking about it and mentioning it, because it really does bother me. Like,
there were no Extreme Rules.
Yeah, like what? Why?
Made no
Why?
sense.
And then you give it to us. Maybe, okay. Maybe let's assume this. Maybe they were like, look, we're not ready right now
Mhm.
for this Extreme Rules match, but let's push it back a few weeks to SmackDown. Also, I will say it's not like some of the pay-per-views we've had in the past have been like too stipulation heavy and it feels forced. And so maybe WWE is trying to find their balance. It's great that they though gave us like they're giving us these stipulations on regular TV where Fox is going to be happy. The other people over at USA are also going to be happy. Everybody wins. It's all about the
Exactly.
network executives. Okay, wait, sorry. Complete side note that I didn't bring up. But speaking of networks, before we get back to the Usos and Street Profits, why the heck do they need to tell us that it's the season premiere of SmackDown? Like, why did they
I
tell us
don't
that
know.
back?
I don't know. I
It
have no
doesn't
clue.
matter.
It doesn't. It
We're still here
surprise. You're there all the
podcasting
time.
week
Yeah.
to week. Like, it's not like, Matt, Mari, you're back. It's like, no, Anyway, I'm done. We're back at the Usos and the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Wonderful match. Wonderful athleticism. 10 stars is what I
10
would give
stars.
them.
There you go.
Yes.
And then we also had to talk about we kind of alluded to it with Lita here. So we had Isaiah Swerve Scott, who was the current North American champion. You know, him and Hit Row got drafted to SmackDown. So of course, Santos Escobar of Legado del Fantasma said he wants a shot at the NXT North American Championship, and it was set up for NXT 2.0 this week. But before the match, Legado kidnapped Top Dollar and B-Fab. Like, they legit, she was right. They threw them into black.
That was, I
and
have
drove
to,
off. And neither of us
say,
saw what
like,
was wrong with that.
honestly, if that's how kidnappings like go, I'm terrified because
Yeah.
that was way too easy.
Yes, and I like how Swerve is like walking towards the camera with his headphones on, so he doesn't hear his friends being kidnapped behind.
I know, which is also really annoying because
Yeah.
now I need to go back and look at all of the other times he's had his headphones on.
Yeah,
I have
Top
to
Dollar
say.
was like, Top Dollar said on Twitter, like, that is the best ad for a set of headphones, like, ever, or whatever.
Wait, how did Top Dollar tweet? Isn't he still kidnapped?
That's what people were saying. Like, weren't you just kidnapped? How are you
I mean,
tweeting?
he could still have his phone.
We'll get into Top Dollar's tweets a little bit later.
We
but
will probably in like 10 minutes.
But the biggest thing about it was so that means no Hit Row at ringside. Then Legado said, yeah, we kidnapped Hit Row, but I'm not Legato's not going to be at ringside either. So Legado del Fantasma, they weren't at ringside either. So it was a good match. However, it did devolve, and Legado ended up coming out, if I remember correctly, but then also Carmelo and Tricky came out to help Swerve.
Yeah.
And so
and what heroes they were. It was so great. Because what I said to myself is, okay, what Swerve needs to do, because number one, the first thought I had when they were kidnapped was like, Swerve, you don't need to call the cops. Let's not get them involved. That's all. We don't need that. But call some backup. You need backup of some sort. And I mean, I don't know if he called them to support him, but he had backup, which to me was very satisfying because way too often in wrestling, especially in WWE, we just get like, it's almost like people don't have any friends.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But he had alleged friends who showed up and had his back, and that
for
like
2 seconds
ultimately paid off for 2 seconds.
Yeah, Swerve was able to retain the championship from Santos Escobar, but then he was promptly hit in the face by Carmelo Hayes. You know why? Because Carmelo Hayes won the NXT Breakout tournament, which means he was given a contract that he can, much like Money in the Bank in a sense, the contract was he could sign it for any title at any point. So he knocked out Swerve Yeah, if you're looking at us on YouTube, we have the pictures up. He signed the contract, handed it to the ref, and told the ref, "Let's go." And they had like a small kind of match. Like Swerve tried to, do a little bit of defense after he just went through a whole nother match. But ultimately, Carmelo Hayes got the better of him, and Carmelo Hayes is now the new NXT North American champion, which is just amazing on just so many levels. Most like because we knew Swerve couldn't take that championship to SmackDown, so we all knew he was gonna have to drop it. So that was
I mean, that would have been interesting if he did take the championship to SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it kind of before, but like they still always normally they never have it long whenever they go back up to the main roster. But so I thought it was just going to be a boring like, okay, him versus Escobar, and he's probably going to take the title off of Swerve, but this was a good swerve, you know what I'm saying? Like this was a swerve. Swerve wins, and then Carmelo cashes in, and the crowd loved it because
Carmelo swerves swerve.
Exactly. And it's what's really amazing about it is WWE actually striking when the iron is hot. You know what I'm saying? Like we just talked about last week on NXT 2.0 how the crowd literally just chanted Carmelo Hayes' name throughout a fatal 4-way match once he was eliminated. Like they love him there, and they actually pulled the trigger on him. He is now the new North American champion. He has Tricky by his side, who Tricky Williams is still trying to kind of learn the ropes from wrestling, so that this will be great for Carmelo can wrestle. Tricky can be his muscle.
Tricky?
They can
does he go by Tricky?
It's probably Trick. I think it's like Trick Williams.
Trip.
No, it's not. No. It's not Trip. It's Trick.
Really?
Yeah, it's Trick. It's Trick Williams.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I call him Tricky only because like there's a producer, there's like a rap producer named Tricky Williams. Anyways, but I like
there's also a graphic designer with RHAP named Tricky. Shout out to Tricky.
Yeah, Tricky
he wasn't in this segment though. I would rather have Carmelo Hayes with Tricky from RHAP.
Yeah,
that to me is what I'd want to see, but I'll take this as a close second.
Yeah, so Carmelo Hayes, he did it, and I'm so excited for him. I can't wait to see where this goes. I think this was great. Maybe he'll continue to feud with Legado. Yep, here's a picture of Carmelo and Trick. But
let me also just say something here from like from a shoot perspective. One day I'm going to shoot on this probably if we see way too many of this move in 1 week. People need to really stop doing leg drops. Like his top rope leg drop finisher to Swerve, like shoot, that clearly hurts him and his tailbone a lot more, but it's just not good. And I think different wrestlers have talked about this. RHAPup, years ago, I remember listening to RHAPup. That's a name that we haven't probably ever mentioned on this podcast, for what, for better or for worse. But like he did like a backpack stunner, which ruined his back because he was taking the bump onto his tailbone. Becky, I think, also has probably talked about this a little with her leg drop. Matt Hardy, it's not good for your back.
It's not good at all.
Stop doing leg drops. Hulk Hogan, look at him.
Hogan. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to say it, but he's notoriously had like hip surgeries because of doing the leg drop.
So
like,
I hate, especially a top rope leg drop.
Yeah,
I hate it. But
it's a lot of pressure on your lower back and your tailbone and your hip. Yeah, I agree with that, and you just did shoot on it. So
look at that.
Yeah, other than that, NXT 2.0, again, they are really churning it out. They're really good. We're not going to get into it this week, but I have been consistently entertained by NXT 2.0. We had another lashing out with Lash Legend. I'm mad that they swerved us there because they said that maybe Tony D'Angelo would be on there, but then he wasn't. Like a producer told him, the producer kept him off, but then we got a bitchinette of Tony like saying like, I didn't want to be on Lashing Out basically, and then he had the producer in his trunk. That was funny. But yeah, NXT 2.0 is they've
Mm-mm.
really been hitting on all cylinders since the rebrand. So I've been loving it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. We need someone. I just want someone to come on here and tell us how offensive the Tony
That's
D'Angelo
what I'm
stuff
saying.
is. I need to conclude because I was really thinking about that in the last week. That Tony D'Angelo is living rent free in
But
my head.
but again, I don't know if it's offensive because
We don't know.
but he says that's him. You know what I'm saying? That he says like that's his personality. Like
I don't know the truth.
he is Italian. This is what
I
he
want the truth.
does. So I don't know. And he plays into it. He plays into it with the things. And so I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, we need to maybe find somebody who's Italian to come on and tell us. I don't know.
Yeah.
But other than that, again, those clips can also be found in our highlights playlist.
That's
So
right.
let's wrap this up with our little segment called The Shoot. The shoot is
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. The
yeah,
shoot. It's time for us to shoot and I want to lead
yes, the
into it,
shoot. Yeah, I
but
got you.
the shoot about shoes, I would say.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and of course our shoot segment is any unplanned, unscripted, or real life occurrence in wrestling from the week that we feel like we want to talk about, and we can either give praise or we could just go in. So, Top Dollar, Top Dollar, tweeted a tweet
Twot to
that
twat. Twot to
he
twot.
he tweeted a tweet that tweeted
Tweet.
around the world. What was this on? It looks like it was like on Wednesday.
Sure.
Yeah, it was on Wednesday. And the tweet goes, some of y'all favorite wrestlers only wear sneakers on camera to seem cool and hip. But in real life, they rock Vans and Asics exclusively. But y'all not ready for that conversation. So what seemed like a joking tweet seemed like to be taken out of context because a lot of people thought he was referencing the Young Bucks. I still don't understand why people thought he was referencing the Young Bucks. Until the Young Bucks changed their bio to say something to the effect of, we've spent more money on sneakers than the whole NXT roster, which of course ignited the WWE versus AEW Stan Wars for literally 4 days. Like, Top Dollar has been trending for the last like 3 days. People coming into his mentions telling him like he needs to stop talking on the Young Bucks when he's about to be future endeavored or enjoy catering and Smackdown
What the
and all
heck?
this stuff.
What is wrong with people?
Like,
Nobody
what is wrong?
asked for your subpar opinion.
Yes, like it just doesn't make sense. It's literally all of that over a joke tweet, and then people calling him like Flop Dollar or really,
And that's
just
like not
dumb.
even, but like the thing is, it's not even worth his energy. It's not worth anyone's energy because it's just
Right.
ridiculous. Like, obviously, he is not a flop at all. So I don't know what to tell you, but I don't like the lies. I don't like the lies from the people who are like trying to pretend that he's not good because they don't like his opinion on something.
Right, exactly. And it's like, why does it all have to like come to this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Because it's easy, because it's simple. It's like basic, why do people like, why are your mom jokes a thing? Like, it's just too easy. Like, it doesn't take creativity or energy to think about it. It's literally like, what is the first thing that someone thought about? And a lot of people are not capable of thinking in a clever way about ways to insult people. There are probably a lot of great ways they could have insulted Top Dollar. This wasn't it, though.
They keep saying stuff like, if you don't draw any of the money that those guys have drawn, see you on main event. Like,
He literally just got there. So why are you? I just want, what I want? I want Bianca Belair here on this podcast to just talk about all of the ways that I don't know, like all of the ways that people are. I love the way that Bianca talks about everything. I like the way that she takes people apart. But I wish that like respected people like that could just come out and be like, no, you fans are stupid.
Yeah, like
and you're not even
just,
like really fans of the people you're trashing. So that's
exactly,
interesting.
because I feel like I'm like 90% sure that the Young Bucks and Top Dollar like are fine. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not beefing, but it's the fans that always take it to 100, and that's why it's so annoying when it comes to like wrestling and fans in general. Like, you know, stan wars, all of that. Like, we're not just talking about wrestling stans, but like something in storyline will be fine. It'll make sense. It'll be okay. But then it'll be the fans that take it to the 98th degree, and which makes me then want to be like, they should have thought of that and maybe not put this out for that product, you know?
I will say, you know, the one thing I'll give, and this applies to Big Brother fans too, and probably a lot of other fandoms, is just like sometimes the type of content breeds certain types of reactions, right? Like with wrestling, I'm not surprised that wrestling, like, you know, when you leave a wrestling show sometimes and you're like, oh, I just want to get in the ring and like do a moonsault or like cut a promo on somebody. Like, I feel like that's a lot of what we see on Twitter, where people are just like, yeah, I'm a wrestler too. Let me cut a promo and get in someone's face and try to start a fight. And it's like, you don't need to do all that. Nobody asked for it. But, you know, it happens. And you know what? I'm not even mad. I get it. The thing I think that kind of sucks, though, is that a lot of these people like really react to it. Like, I was just literally a second ago scrolling through Top Dolla's Twitter trying to find like the tweet that you were talking about. And like literally there are like there are dozens and dozens of retweets on his feed that are people just backing him up in this argument, which I even wish that he didn't even acknowledge this conversation, because it didn't have to be a thing.
Yeah, but at that point, like I mean,
but the Young Bucks tried it. The Young Bucks tried it. Like, they didn't need to go there. Like, why are we going to pretend that? I mean, there's definitely like a whole culture element to it. Like, are they? I mean, they might like sneakers, but like, if we're talking about, I mean, I don't know everything about AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, but like, just like I don't know. What were the Young Bucks even trying to say? What was the point that they were making?
I don't know, but they also followed it up with, only where he ain't buying unless it's resale price will make you trend just by mentioning you here in the bio. So saying
but like,
that they're the reason that Top Dollar is trending. It's just fuel to the fire. And then Top Dollar released a diss track, a sneakers diss track like this week or something like that. Like, sorry, not this week, like yesterday or something. And then even like Max Caster has jumped in and said he ghost wrote his song or something. Like, it's just stupid.
No one cares. Like, why
nobody
are you gonna
cares.
do this? Just calm down and be adults and like don't do these Twitter things that are worthless. I mean, whatever. The sad thing is that we are now putting, and lots of people are now putting their energy into this, which is just like negativity and people arguing, and it's like, what's even the point?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
but the part that bothers me that I just want to mention to hit home is like, the Young Bucks do this a good amount with different people, and I do kind of think, like, okay, bullying is definitely a loaded term, and I would not say that they're bullies, but I do think that when you have a platform and a huge fandom, you just need to be really careful about the things that you say, or else you not only invite hate towards certain people, but you like literally propel people to do, like, if John Cena tweeted the same thing, it's like, okay, now all of John Cena's fans are attacking Top Dollar. Like, that's the part I don't like. Whether or not it was, I don't care. Everyone goes back to, we didn't mean to do it. Like, we didn't intend to do something bad. But like, that's the irresponsible part of it. Like,
Yeah, and the
just
thing
don't
is,
engage.
he didn't even put Young Buck's name in the original tweet.
No.
So again, I still don't
And
understand
no one
how
cares
we
about your
got.
freaking sneakers. We
Yeah,
don't care about your sneakers, Young Bucks. We don't. No one cares.
I
They're
don't, I don't,
trash.
I don't understand how we got from there to there. To be quite honest, I still don't understand.
Well, yeah, I don't either, but I think but I think that the reason, the way we truly got there was by the Young Bucks acknowledging it,
Yeah,
and then that really fuels it, because then in people's heads it's like,
exactly.
oh, well, now this is real, that this is about them, when like, just ignore it and move on, and like, go
Mhm.
do vice VP stuff at AEW. Like, stop arguing with people on Twitter. That's not what VPs of companies should be doing. But I don't know
Mhm.
what I don't know. I'm not a VP of a wrestling company.
Exactly. So it's just annoying. I wish Stan Wars would end. Honestly, it's like there's so much wrestling out there, guys. You can take it all like a buffet, or you can do
Or
it
you
a
could
la
take none of
carte.
it, and
Yeah,
no one needs to know it either.
exactly. Like I just don't understand so much energy put into to
You
fake
know
fight.
who's cool? The people who aren't like, the people who are just quietly enjoying it all, or
Mhm.
like, I'm just here for a good time. Like, that's what and that's our listeners. Most of them, I'm sure, just like happy to be here, happy to take in wrestling, happy to not deal with the drama. But you know what, you guys, Mari and I, we're here. We're here to deal with the drama. And
Exactly. And one last thing before
uh-oh.
we end the shoot.
Oh
It's
no.
it's my infamous out of nowhere shoot.
Oh no.
Um a
I need a sound effect.
The sound bite. Yeah. A big old like, what the fuck is going on over here? Like, wow, women of wrestling, get
Yeah,
your shit together. Like,
what
get your
happened?
shit
What are you
together.
talking about?
So
I
reports
saw
just came
something
out.
about Tessa, but I
Yes.
didn't even read it.
At Fightful on Fightful.com, Sean Ross Sapp reported that WoW, the new wrestling company that's a women's wrestling. We
Yeah,
talked about it. Well, we talked about it last week or the week before. AJ Lee is
probably
set to be a
both.
producer. They're supposed to debut in 2022. Uh, they approached La Rosa Negra to come work in the company, specifically to work with Tessa Blanchard. So if
These
you
people, and they're
Yes,
old.
if you don't know, the whole reason why we kind of steer clear about Tessa, talking about Tessa to begin with, and why we just do not like her, or like talk about her. Tessa Blanchard was accused of spitting on and using racial slurs backstage to another female wrestler. That female wrestler's name is La Rosa Negra.
Which,
And
first,
Tessa Blanchard has
what a
never
great name.
apologized. It's a great name. Tessa
Yes.
Blanchard has never apologized for those actions, even though there's been several witnesses to say that the event happened. She says she denies it. She denies that it ever happened. She has been out of work in the wrestling community for about a year or so now, once those allegations came up. But like we mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, she is now signed with WoW Wrestling. I did not know, and what this report also said, she's a casting director for WoW Wrestling. And
Wait, who is Tessa?
Tessa, yes. So they are going all 10 toes down with Tessa being a pillar of their show. And I knew that originally, and I was just like, you know what, it's cool. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to talk about it. Sure, cool. But
But
now with this report saying that they approached La Rosa Negra to be in the company to work to basically rehab Tessa's image,
yeah,
and they're saying that sources close to La Rosa Negra said that the it's insulting. It's insulting that they asked her that, because, and it's insulting to me too as a black person, as a black
yeah,
woman. Like, it is not our job to the rehab the person who wronged us. Why should I help rehab her reputation when
yeah.
she has wronged me and or has not apologized?
I mean, I mean, look, I guess this is kind of where I fall, which is like, is it really, why are you going to go, like, don't do this. Like, don't ruin your your show over Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah.
Like, Tessa Blanchard is not only not worth it from like the performer perspective. I mean, Tessa's whatever, great performer at many times, has had very impressive performances within Impact Wrestling, but you don't need people who are super problematic, as well as a potentially racist is part, or even like saying and doing racist things in your
Yeah.
company. That just is that puts you in a place where you're dead in the water from the beginning. So
Yeah.
maybe do something different and be willing to say, we're wrong, we're learning. Like, that's what I would love if all of a sudden we see them say, we've heard you, we're listening, and Tessa will no longer be part of this company. What would be even more impressive, but it won't happen because she's racist, but like Tessa stepping down and not, you know, being in this, not being part of the company because she knows that she's dragging them down by being associated. I don't think she cares. I also will point out that last year, beyond, among her other problematic things, like the whole way that she left Impact Wrestling was just super sketchy. Like, I think she was supposed to have a number of matches. COVID was happening. She hadn't defended the championship in a long time. Didn't show up for a match. They had to rebook it. I think she still had the championship, never returned to Impact after that. And then rumors were that she'd go to another wrestling company. And then that's when all of this, like, at least from what I remember, that's when a lot of different stuff about Tessa just being super problematic came out, including the story about La Rosa Negra. So maybe just like make better decisions and don't put up with people who are horrible.
There are already reports that there's a little friction in behind the scenes at WoW. Like, if you put the whole racial slur usage aside, it is documented that she has been difficult to work with, like Matt correctly pointed out here. So I don't care. I don't care if she steps down. I really don't. I'm fine if she stays on at WoW. You know why? Because I'm not gonna watch it. I don't care.
No, because that's the problem. If she wasn't associated with this from the beginning, our reaction would have been completely different. But what it says to me is, even at this point, like, their judgment's already questionable.
Yeah.
And this type of thing could happen again. And also, I mean, beyond Tessa being involved with the company from the beginning, I mean, literally from the beginning, because they're just starting. But beyond that, like, it's just like, what? Like, I appreciate Tony Khan so much because I feel like a lot of the decisions he's made in AEW, AEW needs to do a lot of work for a lot of things, but I think he does a pretty good job responding when issues come up, or responding like a corporation might respond, which we even see. WWE doesn't even respond like responsibly to a lot of things, but this is just a mess. Who's in charge at WoW? I have no clue, but
I think they said Jeannie Buss. I heard Jeannie Buss is the one who's behind.
Is that a money situation?
I don't know, but Jeannie Buss is
who's Jeannie Buss? We talked about Jeannie Buss last week, I think.
I don't think we did. She's like the owner. She's part owner of the Lakers, or she was. Her family owned the Lakers, and I can't remember if she's still the owner or part owner. But
and yet, does it even matter?
Yeah, she's the president of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh my gosh! Hold on. This is Jeannie Buss. I've never heard of this. I've never seen this person in my life.
She owns WoW. She's
changing the status quo.
If you've never heard of her, it's because you don't watch basketball. Because she really was. She's the one who brought on Magic Johnson as like the she was the one who brought on Magic Johnson as like, I think,
so she's just
GM
been
or
around.
something.
She's been around.
Her family is like old money. Her dad owned the Lakers. He passed away. It passed down to her. I think there was some sort of inheritance, like weird inheritance thing. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, anybody, but like, she's mostly known for being Jerry Buss's daughter, and he was the owner of the Lakers. Once he died, I think there was something they were trying to figure out how to split the assets, because like her brother Jim Buss, they're like, it was a lot of infighting or something, but she's well known. She's a well known money backer. So
let me just say something else on this, because I'm fired up as I look at the
keep
WoW
going. Yeah.
website. They are. This bothers me. Okay, this is the thing that annoys me so much when it comes to this stuff. That they, and we've probably mentioned it, maybe we've mentioned it with WoW, that they have a deal with Viacom CBS and the
Yes, they do.
Viacom CBS
CBS.
Global Distribution Group. So they would be on a
Syndicating.
Viacom CBS network.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
just
they will.
annoyed. Like, why can't we have? I'm sure there are so many wrestling companies to take this in a different direction that are, like maybe they don't have the money and the production value yet that something like WoW would have because of Genie Bus. But
Mhm.
I think of all of the smaller wrestling companies that are focused on women and have been around. Like Shimmer is another example.
Yes,
But
Shimmer,
like there are
right.
others, just like inject the resources into them so that they could
Mhm.
thrive, rather than creating something new that's driven by money, that's clearly leveraging like the Bus name and connections to immediately get a deal with Viacom CBS before setting anything up. Like, and then I think of, and maybe they're not at this level, but I think of all of the companies that put on like the queer LGBT focused
Mhm.
shows with all their stars. And it's just like, why can't good people have nice things, including Viacom CBS deals? I don't know, but it's frustrating. And Genie Bus, good luck to you. I hope to not see you again.
Yeah, you make a really great point there. It's just like, why? I mean, I'm looking at WoW. They have still, they were in, like, they were putting on shows as late as like 2020. So it's not like they haven't been around. They
Well,
like the original WoW was, we talked about it, came out in 2000s. The rebooted one was about 10 years ago in
and how did Tessa
2011.
get involved?
Tessa's been involved with WoW. Like, yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it right now. Like, she was involved with when it was like during the relaunch in 2012 and stuff like that. So this is, and Bus has always been a part of that relaunch.
Well,
It just didn't get
you know
like,
what?
yeah, I guess it
Good
just
luck
didn't
to, yeah,
get
yeah.
as much spotlight, but now they're like kind of they're like finally reintroducing the company now that the wrestling landscape has changed. And I think it's very obvious that with AEW putting up really good numbers, WWE's numbers are solid. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not unreasonable that CBS and Viacom are seeing those numbers and are like, yeah, we want something like that on our channel.
Yeah.
And Genie Bus has the connections to make it work, and they're trying
Yeah.
to reboot it by bringing in AJ Mendez, but it's just kind of like you're also shooting yourself in the foot. And I understand what you're saying is you want her held accountable and you want her fired, and I see that, but I personally want them held accountable and want them to learn their lesson by nobody watching this. To be quite honest,
Well,
I
I
want
mean,
them to
I
learn
would
that
like,
type of
but
lesson.
I also just would love to live in a world where they are like, where they know it's so bad where it's not even a question. Because like
Yeah.
no one, like Tessa is not going to be in the WWE at any
Hmm.
point. Tessa is not going to go back to Impact at any point. Tessa,
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Tessa was in AEW. So let's just stop doing business with her.
I mean, it's as simple
I'm
as
not
that, but
trying to get
people don't
anyone
want to. They
fired, but like but she did that for herself.
they wanted to, they want to lean into it. They clearly want to lean into it, which is ridiculous to me. So it's whatever. I it is, at this point, it's just, it's ridiculous. It's a spit in the face to wrestling fans like ourselves who are black. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's whatever. I This will be the absolute last time you hear us talk about WoW on this podcast,
I
unless
mean, maybe
the
not.
earth shifts.
I mean, if it's
Yeah,
I mean, it might be some
if
really
they
good
fire
news,
her.
but if it's like, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
mention it. But yeah, like I feel like our whole, it's so funny. I'm now on the WoW page, and the
Mhm.
characters remind me so much
Of
of.
Glow.
I don't even
Glow.
think it's Glow. There's another. There was like a promotion. Okay, I do want to figure this out. There was promotion
Matt,
that had like
we gotta
Cowgirl
go.
Sally and like it had like a bunch of really campy characters.
If you know the answer to Matt's question, let us know in the comments. That is the end of the
Tweet
shoot.
me.
Yeah, tweet him.
It was like a really well-funded promotion that was
Yes.
probably on like DVD, and it was a women's promotion, and they had like, I don't care anymore because we've been here for 3 hours.
That's what I'm saying.
Tweet me though.
We gotta go. So Matt, where can the people find you?
At home. I'm at home, and it's the heat. It's still hot in here. So that's where I'll be. Other than that, you could find me on the Wrestling RHAPup with the one, the only Mari Forth at Mari Talks Too Much, 2 like the number 2. And you can find me on Twitter, Stereo, at Matt Scott GW. That's GW, like good wrestling.
There
Matt
you
Scott
go.
GW. So that's it. I think that's it. I just finished up last week podcasting about Black Widow Brigade, which was really fun.
Nice.
I got to interview Alex Gardner, who was the creator, or who is the creator of Black Widow Brigade, for like 2 hours over on Silent Podcast. So that's probably the last of the Black Widow Brigade coverage. Who knows if there'll be a Black Widow Brigade season 2? If there is, if I'm part of it, along with Latanya Starks and Grace Leader, well, Mari's going to have to host the Black Widow Brigade podcast. So that's we'll get there if and when we get there. But again, Matt Scott GW and Mari. Where could the people find you? I heard that you're at Mari Talks Too Much, 2 like the number 2.
Yes,
is that true?
Yes, that is true. You have correctly plugged me. I just want to remind everybody, again, I was on the Challenger RHAPup. There you go. We are plugging them this week. Please go and listen to that. Please also subscribe to the Wrestling RHAPup feed.
That's us.
We have our own feed. Yes. Give us, please rate, review, and subscribe. Give us 5 stars, please.
Wait, hold on. Give us listen, we are talking to you. You know, you hear. Okay, wait. This is my 30 seconds, Mari. I'm claiming it. I'm claiming my time to say that you're listening now. You're a fan. You like this. Maybe you don't. If you're hate listening 3 hours in, we still appreciate you.
Yeah.
And you can give us 5 stars too and leave a review, but let us know what you think. You know,
please.
We need to know. We need the people. We need the people to know what you think so that they know to listen, because we want more people to listen. And actually, the reviews help more people find the Wrestling RHAPup. So do your part. Flex your civic duty. Give us 5 stars. That's all I wanted to say, Mari.
I like
5 stars, civic duty.
Civic duty, yes. And of course, again, you can always email us. Send us your email to wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com. Tweet us at using hashtag Wrestling RHAPup. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Watch out for any flying elbows. Bye.